Hey, and welcome back to another video. This is the 7th episode of the story in which being born as the oldest of triplets, but being written off as the least prodigal of the three, Naruto will show them that there is more than meets the eye. With the help from a friend he will shake the world on end, prophecies be damned. He will be who he wants to be. He will show the world the power of a dragon. Please support by liking and subscribing. Let's start the show. It had to run to complete its escape. Hiding and staying in one place was not the way for its mission to succeed. It darted from the bushes it used for cover. It weaves in and out of the legs of multiple beasts. It had nearly been taken by surprise earlier, but one of its pursuers spoke too loud and alerted it to their presence. It would not go back. It hated the life it was stuck in. It wanted to be free and live out the rest of its days in the sun. Now it was being chased by 3 individuals. One of them had nearly gotten its tail in their grasp, but it was too quick. It was currently running through a park when another one came leaping from a nearby tree and diving at it. It was in the individual grasp for a second, but a quick swipe from its claws made its pursuer drop it with a yelp of pain. It landed in the dirt on its back before rolling and continuing its escape. Dodging the first pursuer that tried to scoop it up with a sharp turn, making them dive trip over their own 2 feet, it raced out of the park. A curse echoes behind it. If it could smile, it would. It had gained some distance when it enacted its plan. It would use the alleys to get lost and lose its chasers. It dived to one alley and found it leading to another street, perfect. It would double back and use the village's size against its pursuers. With the last bit of its energy, it sprinted as fast as its 4 legs could carry it. It nearly reached the other side and a dark figure landed in front of it. It goes rigid with fear, all the hairs on its back stand on end. Whatever stood in front of it was something far more monstrous than anything it ever faced. This included all the birds it encountered and dogs that made its life miserable from time to time. The monster's spiky horns and sharp teeth bared down on it. The thing in front of it was neither a dog nor a bird but the scent of a reptile. The reptilian smell is mixed with fire and smoke. This thing in front of it could end its life with a glance. It couldn't help it, fear started to make it shake. "Hey, are you okay?" The being's deep, grotesque voice was too much for it. It did the only thing it could do to save itself. It fainted. Naruto looks down at his target, perplexed. It rolled onto its back and showed its belly while foaming at the mouth. Being a shinobi so far has been a disappointment. 2 months since they formed Team 7, the reality of being a shinobi was waning on Naruto. He expected missions of leaving the village to go to other places. However, he hadn't even gotten anywhere near the village gates. Then there were the missions they were doing. They were all mundane tasks that the average person could complete. The missions, if they could be called that, included painting fences, pulling weeds out of gardens, and walking dogs. Like right now, for example, he had to catch a cat. His team's target was to catch the infamous Tora. Tora is a cat with brown fur. A line runs down her forehead with 2 lines going across it and amber-colored eyes. While a simple retrieval mission typically was nothing too serious, this cat belonged to the daimyo's wife. So it was of the utmost importance to find it. Naruto looks for confirmation in the form of a ribbon on its right ear. He presses his earpiece and speaks into the radio, "I got confirmation on the target. Tora has been captured. She's behind the grocery store." He lets go of the earpiece and awaits further instruction. Not a moment later, Sakura and Sasuke land on the opposite side of Tora. Sasuke is the first to see the state of the cat. "Naruto, what the hell did you do to it?" Sasuke asks his black-haired teammate. The thing was running rampant, having them chase it all around Konoha. Now it looked to be death's door. Naruto flings his arms up and begins to wave them in a denying manner. "I didn't do a thing to it," he pleads his case. "It is the truth, after all." He then jabs a finger at Sasuke and scolds the teen, "Besides, I saw the cat make you trip over your own 2 feet. Sasuke nearly got the cat by its tail, but the thing redirected and made Sasuke fall face first into the dirt. Sasuke just ended up with dirt in his mouth. He looks at his pink-haired teammate. "How you doing over there?" he asks. Sakura had gotten the cat's claws for touching it. Right now, she had a green glow coming from her hand. Sakura couldn't help but grimace. Somehow she had been the one injured on such a simple mission. "I'm okay, Naruto," her forced smile reassures her friend. Though she would probably get an earful from Tsunade. Using the Shozen Jutsu, the 4 claw marks on the back of her hand close up, leaving flawless skin in their place. She shows his hand off to the 2, see. While she had only been training with the legendary medical Sannin for 2 months, the woman had been nothing short of a slave driver. According to the Sannin, Sakura's biggest flaw is her small chakra reserves. While her perfect control was complementary to her small reserves, it was like playing with fire. Tsunade had promised to teach her something special once she gained more chakra. "I have to get stronger," she berates herself. She wouldn't be the person to hold this team back. Menma's words still rung through her head. "You won't live." Naruto tucked the cat under his arm like a loaf of bread when Kakashi appeared in the alley with them. His eyes are glued to his little orange porn book for a moment longer, marking his spot before closing it with a heavy thump. "Well done. My cute little genin." Kakashi compliments with his usual eye smile. Kakashi claps his hands in congratulations, looking at 3. If he is being honest with himself, he hoped to be entertained a bit longer with them chasing Tora. They chased the thing for over an hour, and still, it was faster than he expected. "Oh well, time to report to the Hokage." Kakashi looks at the cat and sees its condition. "You didn't kill it, did you?" he asks the black-haired. "Uzumaki Namikaze." Naruto gives a frustrated yell at the question. Hokage Tower Minato forces a smile as he hears the pun of a terrible joke and the jokester's own laughing. His job as Hokage had him dealing with political figures, shinobi, and the common people, but right now, he dealt with someone far worse. He was dealing with the wife of Daimyo. Madame Shirjimi is a pudgy woman with dark brown hair that she keeps in 3 separate buns. She wears pink lipstick, pink nail polish, and purple eyeshadow. Her fingers are decorated with many different colored rings. Dealing with her is, and always has been, a pain. The woman acted like she held power when it was only her husband that had it. However, the woman had the man wrapped around her finger. She had one of the most powerful men in the world in the palm of her hand. While she didn't flaunt the fact she had power as a byproduct of her husband made sure to inform Minato that if his wife didn't have a good time, there would be hell to pay. The life of a Hokage is never easy, Minato mentally sighs. His own wife was still furious about Naruto's placement. He put his foot down on the matter, and his wife would have to deal with it. Minato-kan. Minato was brought out of his thoughts by Shirjimi. Minato had the decency to be embarrassed. It wasn't often that he got so distracted. He chuckles and rubs the back of his head. "Sorry, Shijima-sama, just have a lot on my mind," Minato lamented. All the new team running around and tracking their progress was a lot for the man to do by himself. Shirjimi nodded and laughed into the back of her hand. "I understand. My Otto is the same way," the woman states. "When he's deep in thought, you could talk to him for hours and not get a single response back," Shirjimi assured the Hokage. While the life of a daimyo was tough, being the wife of one was equally tough. Shirjimi remembers all the times she would go to bed alone and wake up alone. The dinners that were missed, the anniversaries that were skipped or delayed. This raised a question that Shirjimi had on her mind: how's Kushina-chan? The last time Shirjimi had seen the redhead, Kushina was still pregnant with Akane. Minato smiled truly for the first time in a long time. "She's great. In fact, she's the Jonin instructor for the children," Minato replies with his chest puffed out like the proud papa he is. Shijimi comes over to his desk and inspects the picture on the Hokage's desk. Shijimi couldn't help but smile at the pictures on the desk. It is reminiscent of her husband's desk. Her eyes land on the picture of Kushian, Minato, and the triplets on the day they got their Hitayats. My, what lovely children you have, Shijimi comments as she picks up the photo. Shijimi had seen the triplets when they were still in diapers. Now, they were handsome young men and a beautiful woman. Minato groaned, yeah, they were great when they were little. Now, they're teenagers. He wished they were little again. Life was simpler. Narumi and Menma were his pride and joys. Narumi had his drive and Kushina's attitude. There would be nothing nor no one she couldn't face. Menma is him incarnate. The boy had his wit, charm, demeanor, and his mother's spirit. The perfect Hokage in the making. Menma follows orders and accepts his words without question. Shijimi points her finger at the tallest of the triplets. Is this Naruto? My, what dashing young man in that hair. Shijimi found the teen's smile too infectious. He smiled so brightly it looked like the flash bounced off his teeth. You sure he's yours? Shijimi's untasteful joke made Minato scrunch his face like he swallowed something sour. Kushina was many things, but unfaithful was not one of them. Minato didn't hide his displeasure. Yes, I was there when he was born with the other two, Minato snapped firmly. While he is disappointed by Naruto's choices, he is still Minato's son. Minato right now was facing a dilemma. His Umbu had been infiltrated, and his Umbu commander had a difficult time tracking a single person. He wanted answers as to why he was being fed false reports about his son. Blood would spill when he found the traitor. Shijimi purses her lips in guilt. She knows her mouth ran before her brain could register what she said. I do hope they find my Torichan soon. Shijimi tries to change the subject. She worries for her precious Tora, but she wants Minato to stop glaring. Sometimes shinobi made her uncomfortable to be around. In the hall, outside the Hokage's office, Team 7 waits to be let in. Right now, they are talking to Irika. Irika had been assigned to help the Hokage with today's work and act as a secretary. Naruto. Did you kill it? Irika murmured while looking at the unconscious cat. If true, this team could kiss their freedom and maybe their lives goodbye. Naruto grits his teeth before exploding on the man. I didn't kill it. Sakura laughs timidly at the outburst. When they walked through the village, many villagers whispered the same thing. Sakura cleared her throat, gaining the two males' attention. Well, Naruto, it hasn't moved since you picked it up. She points out how still the cat is. She even ran a medical jutsu over the cat to double-check and found a pulse hammering like a drum. Kakashi grows tired of the banter, wanting to find a nice quiet place to read his book. Is sensei available? Kakashi asks the Chunin. The faster this was over, the faster he could get back to reading. Irika touches the intercom and speaks into it. Hokage-sama, Team 7 to see you. He lets go of it and waits for a response. Naruto gets a whiff of something foul coming from a person sitting in one of the chairs along the wall. The man has a kasa on his head, but Naruto can see his scruffy gray beard and hair. The old man's glasses reflect the light from the light bulbs above, making it seem his eyes are white. The man's arms are incredibly muscular and are shown by his brown sleeveless neck shirt. The man seemed obsessed with the color brown as his obi, pants, and a pair of sandals were all that color. In his hand is a brown bottle that he brings to his lips. Naruto finally placed the smell as bourbon. He takes several big gulps before sighing pleasantly. He looks at Naruto as he puts the bottle on his knee. Naruto looks away, not wanting to stare. Send them in. Minato's voice comes from the little box. Kakashi ushers his team in. The door to Minato's office opens and in comes Team 7. Kakashi leads his team, with Sasuke coming after him. Sakura in the middle of them, and Naruto bringing up the rear with a small bundle under his arms. Mission accomplished, Kakashi says lazily with his nose buried in his usual book. Minato raised an eyebrow before checking the clock. His eyes widen. That's not possible, Minato breathed out. There was no way they got that cat in less than 2 hours. It was unheard of. Even when he was Jonin of Team 7, it took them nearly all day to get the damn thing. Then again, he didn't use the Hiraishin but still, all day. Minato's breath hitches in his throat, seeing their target under Naruto's arm, limp. Please, for the love of Kami, tell me he didn't kill it. Minato prayed to any deity that would listen. Naruto wouldn't see the end of the day if that stupid cat had been hurt, and there was nothing Minato could do to save him. Naruto took the cat out of his arms and presented it to Shijimi like it was a present. Here you are. Naruto exclaimed casually to the daimyo's wife. His bright smile did little to hide the disheveled state of the cat. The feline still had foam in its mouth and continued to be limp in his arms. Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi all looked away, hinting that they had nothing to do with the cat's state. Tora-chan. Shijimi fretted. Her beloved cat looked to have been killed. Minato covered his eyes, waiting for the order to have his son executed. Maybe he could convince the daimyo to give Naruto life in prison. Then like it rose from the dead, the cat rolled in Naruto's arm and leaped towards Shijimi. Tears streaked from her eyes as she cried while jumping towards her overbearing owner. Tora landed in the woman's bosom, still crying as it rubbed its head affectionately against the woman, almost like it was telling her, I will never leave you again. Tora-chan. Shijimi screams with happiness as she hugs the cat. The cat makes no effort to escape the squeezing, it feels safe in the woman's arms. As Shijimi squeezes the cat, she looks at Team 7, now standing off to the side. Thank you so much, Shinobi-sans, she thanked Team 7 before walking to Minato's desk. She then places a small stack of Ryo on its surface before saying, thank you again, Minato-can. She snuggles Tora closer to bust before complimenting the Hokage, your shinobi are the best, as always. She turns to leave but stops anytime, Bachan. Naruto's come out in a familiar manner. Sakura, Sasuke, and Minato pale at the tone Naruto uses, but not Kakashi. He's too immersed in his book. Calling Shijimi an old lady was an excellent way to lose your head. Shijimi lets out a great belly laugh as she pinches his cheek playfully like a grandmother would a child. My. You are just like Kushina-chan, she joked before going to the door and leaving. The tension in the air lessened at her departure. Minato slides in his chair while exhaling. That could have been much worse. Minato rights himself and then addresses Team 7. Well done, all of you. Capturing Tora is no easy task, he praises and gets a vast range of reactions. Kakashi waves his hand side-to-side, dismissing the praise. Sakura bows at him in thanks, a deep blush on her cheeks. Sasuke simply nods and accepts the praise. Just like his mother. All calm, cool, and collective, Minato thought. He turns his attention to his son and sees the boy flash a smile and give him a thumbs up. His son did truly take after Kushina. Minato starts digging through a stack of files on the corner of his desk. Now then, what'll be your next mission? He pulls out 3 files that he thinks the team is suited for. The kennels in the Inuzuka need cleaning. Yamanakakijo needs help weeding her garden. Then there's a park that needs to be raked of leaves. Minato rounds off the available missions. The expressions from the genin told him they were dissatisfied with the options. Missions were divided into 5 ranks, D, C, B, A, and S. Rank missions are menial tasks that civilians or clans brought to the Hokage. The Hokage would then hand them off to genin teams to help them gain experience with teamwork and cooperation. Dranks were the safest options for new teams. The likelihood of them dying was slim to none. Cranks were a bit on the rough side because they were moderately dangerous. Luckily it was nothing too serious. Bandits or wild animals were the only real threat they would face. Teams doing crank would do escort missions or annihilate bandit camps. Brank and rank missions went hand in hand. They involved assassinations, battling other shinobi from different villages, and espionage. The rank of shinobi the team would face determined if the mission was ranked B or A. Then S rank were top secret missions that Umbu usually took. Those missions were the deadliest and the dirtiest. Assassinations, honeypots, and even the elimination of former allies, just to name a few. Kakashi rubs his chin and hums in thought. They all sounded good, and each mission gave him opportune time to read his book. He is just calculating what would take his team the longest. How about? Kakashi starts before Naruto cuts him off. Come on, Kakashini. Naruto interjects, a small frown on his face. Come on, can't we do something exciting? I'm tired of doing this boring stuff. Naruto pleads. He looks to his teammates for support. Sakura looks between the Hokage and their sensei and Naruto. She puts her head down, not wanting to be a bother. Sasuke looks to Kakashi for guidance, and Kakashi just seems annoyed by the outburst. I'm tired of doing stuff in the village. Come on, can you give us an assignment that goes out of the village? Naruto begs his father. He has been patient for the last month, but now he wants a mission beyond the walls of the village. He wants to see what lies beyond it. Minato stares emotionlessly at his oldest. If he was being honest, he didn't want Naruto to leave the safety of the village. However, it would be seen as playing favorites if he didn't give Team 7 a mission they requested. Maybe he could give Kakashi a signal to deny the request. He casts a scrutinizing look to the Jonin and, in a commanding tone, asks, "Are they ready, Kakashi?" Hopefully, Kakashi would take the hint. He didn't want to. Kakashi's eye looks up to meet his sensei's. They stare at one another for a moment. Minato smiles, thinking Kakashi understands the silent request. They're ready, Kakashi assured his sensei before his eyes went back to his book. A giggle escapes the silver-haired man as he reads. Minato nearly face-faults at his pupil's declaration. Damn you, Kakashi, Minato mentally curses at the Kakashi. He groans as he schemes through the pile of files. Minato looks for one he saw earlier. It is the perfect mission for this young team to get their feet wet. He grabs the file and then pushes a button on the intercom in the corner of his desk. Escort him in, Irakasen, Minato spoke into the machine. He hoped the old man had sobered up some since he came here looking to hire some shinobi. Yes. Naruto pumps his fist in excitement. He finally has the opportunity to see the outside world. He gave 2 thumbs up to his teammates, getting a smile from Sakura. While Sasuke just nodded. The members of Team 7 turned their attention to the door, and in came Irika. Naruto's face scrunches at the smell that comes into the room. Irika gave a small wave before he turned behind him. Right this way, Irika told the person behind him in a friendly manner. The smell comes from the same person Naruto saw in the hallway. The man downed some more bourbon, some missing his mouth and going down his chin, before wiping his mouth and mustache with his forearm. Through his semi-inebriated state, he looks over at the shinobi in front of him and voices his displeasure. What is this? I'm paying good money for shinobi, not a bunch of teenagers, the drunk declares while pointing at them. Team 7 all don insulted expressions as they glare at the old man. Sasuke doesn't take kindly to the old man insulting his clan. Listen, you Sunova. Kakashi places his free over Sasuke's mouth to keep the teen from offending a potential client. Minato stared at the older man impassively. He had dealt with clients before and had seen all sorts of reactions. This one was no different. I assure you, Tazuna-san. These young genin are more than capable of handling your request. Ion, Minato tries to assure the man. While they were a newly formed team. Minato knew they were more than capable. Tazuna's scowl deepens before downing another swig. Just look at them, he shouts after wiping his mouth with his arm. He points over at Sakura. She looks like she'd pass out at the first sight of blood. Sakura grits her teeth and a vein pops on her forehead. His next victim of verbal assault is directed at Sasuke. This pretty boy would be worried about breaking a nail. Sasuke narrows his eyes at the man. Kakashi chuckles as his genin are being tormented by the civilian man. Then there's this scarecrow of a sensei. Looks like a strong breeze knock him over. Tazuna's words make Kakashi slump slightly and chuckle lightly. The man hit the nail on the head. Then there's this one, smiling like an idiot. Tazuna says about Naruto, who is still smiling even though he is being insulted. Are you sure he can fight? That happens to be my son, Minato interjects, glaring at the man. The man's jaw clenched tightly, realizing he may have ruined his chance of obtaining help. This man needed to learn not to judge a book by its cover. All three members of Team 7 are all outstanding shinobi in their own way. Naruto was one of the best fighters in the academy and, from Kakashi's report, still was. This will be your client. Do you wish to continue Team 7? Minato pressures the team. He wants to test their professionalism. Often, a team will be assigned an obnoxious client that wouldn't always be cooperative. Naruto looks at his sensei, still smiling like a madman. Can we? Please, Kakashi-ni. Naruto all but threw himself to the floor with his begging. He didn't care if the client had to be carried, he just wanted to go see the world. Maybe, he would fight a group of bandits to see how strong he truly was. Sure, Kakashi said lazily. Anything was fine with him, he may not be able to read as much, but he couldn't be picky. Yash! Naruto cheers. Sakura smiles brightly, and Sasuke gains the ghost of a smirk. Minato opens the file related to Mr. Tazuna from the stack. Minato opens it up and begins the debrief. Tazuna-san here is a bridge builder and has requested a team of shinobi escort him back to Nami no Kuni. You four are to guard him against bandits and other cutthroats. Minato stops to look over the team. No significant reactions, which was good. Once at the designated, you are to stay with him until he is done building his bridge. Minato then closes the file before resting his chin on intertwined fingers. He glances at Kakashi, signaling the one-eyed Jonin to take over. Kakashi gives his sensei a subtle nod. Kakashi finally puts his books away in his back pouch before he addresses his team. All right, Team 7, listen up. Our mission is to guard Tazuna-san with our lives. Is that understood? This would test his team's mettle. It would be their first real taste of action outside of a spar. Hi, Sensei, is the resounding response from the teens. Kakashi sees no doubt in their eyes. Meet at the east gate in 1 hour and pack light, Kakashi orders and receives nods. Tazuna is still unimpressed by the display. I expect you all to die for me if necessary, Tazuna says uncaringly. Kakashi then turns to his new client to address him. I suggest you go find a place to sober up, Kakashi remarks before dismissing his team. Tazuna scowls at the suggestion and continues to drink before he starts to stumble out of the office. Sakura walks beside him and sees the grinning expression on his face. She didn't want to admit it, but she was frightened. Even with the training with Tsunade, she wasn't prepared. The woman taught her how to mend some minor broken bones and cuts. Tsunade had only started introducing the theory behind her strength but never practiced it. Not only that, but it was to be her first time out of the village, away from her parents. She never slept outside and didn't know what to expect. However, it looked like Naruto knew exactly what to expect. So what do we pack for this? She asks the Uzumaki Namikes. Naruto looks at his female teammate and can see the worry and doubt in her eyes. He puts a hand on her shoulder, why don't I come over and help? His toothy grin made Sakura mimic him. The confidence he had was contagious. Minato saw the interaction and was less than pleased. Sakura is nice, but she is a civilian-born girl. While Minato hated to admit it, he was not thrilled by their affection for one another. Kushina has been pestering Naruto to bring the girl home to meet her personally. Hell, Kushina already had the wedding planned. Along with Narumi's and Menma's. Still, Minato couldn't help but be irked by his son's choice. There were plenty of options within clan households. Sum's oldest came to mind immediately, and then there was Ino Yamanaka, who could be a match. Another talk for another day. He had some words for his son, Naruto. Hold up a moment. He wouldn't be able to see his son off to his first serious mission later, but he could impart some words of wisdom. Kakashi looks to stay but is waved off by Minato. The man's pupil leaves without resistance. Naruto looked back at his father, slightly annoyed but obediently obliged. I'll meet you at the park near your house, he told Sakura. Still smiling, Sakura nods and leaves the office. Naruto stands in front of his father's desk. So what up, Tu-chan? The boy asks his father. The teen gave his father a confident smirk. Minato matches his son's smirk before he begins to talk. Naruto, this will be your first real mission. Please, be careful. Minato let the seriousness hang in the air. He didn't want to bury a son. While there shouldn't be a problem, all it took was one lucky shot, and a bandit could kill a shinobi. Naruto smiled at his father's words of caution. Don't sweat it. I'll be back before you know it. Naruto proclaims, flexing his left arm and grabbing his left bicep with his right hand. He would do this mission, make his family proud and start making his map. Minato shook his head playfully at his son's antics and said, all right, hot shot. Go and get ready. He dismisses his son, who whoops, before he charges out of office. And don't be late, he calls out, but he thinks they go unheard. He turns out to look out the windows at the midday sun. Something big was on the horizon. Uzumaki Namike's household. The backyard was a cloud of dirt and debris slowly settling to the ground. Okay, team, that's enough training for the day. Kushina cheers loudly and proudly. She had come up with a strict schedule to train her team. They would train all morning, each day, they would focus on something different, have lunch and then go get a mission. They did her favorite kind of training all morning, survival training. It was, in the simplest terms, dodge and hope to live. Kushina brushes a bit of dust from her shoulder as she walks up the back porch. She had to prepare lunch for her children. In the middle of the destroyed backyard, Menma and Narumi groaned. Every part of their body ached. Since they formed a team, Kushina has pushed them to the limits daily. It even hurt to do the insufferable drank missions. Menma is the first to prop himself up from the dirt. Are you going to make it? He asks his sister. Narumi whined before arching her back off the ground and flopping back down. Give me a sec, she said tiredly. Her mother wanted Narumi to focus on developing her Kongo Fusa. She could now manifest 2 chains that didn't shatter after only a few hits. It was painful and grueling. There were days she wanted to curl in a ball and cry from how much pain she was in. Though day after day the training got easier and easier, the results spoke for themselves. Narumi is the first to stand, albeit wobbly. She walks over to her older brother and offers him a hand up. Come on, up and at it, Narumi encourages her brother to take her hand. Menma groans as he grabs the offered appendage and gets to his feet. A few pops and groans escape his body. All right, thanks, he says as he trudges to the back door. Come on, let's get something to eat before we get a mission, he calls to his sister. His sister jogs after his brother answering, hi. Every step hurt, but they made it inside. The two see their mother hard at work in the kitchen, and Narumi sees a great opportunity. I call dibs on a shower, she shouts as she pushes by her brother. Narumi hates being unclean, it is one of her biggest pet peeves. She would shower away all the dirt, sand, and sweat that clung to her skin. She wanted to be presentable if she met a client for a mission. Menma let out a heavy sigh as his sister raced past him. "Cousin, I'm going upstairs to take a nap. Can you call when lunch is ready?" he requested of his mother. "Course Men-chan," his mother shouted from in front of the stove. He could smell the butter in a pan. Menma walked through the house, looking at the picture that hung on the walls. Most of them were of the family smiling while being with one another. It was a simpler time. The shinobi life had been a disappointment thus far. He did things that people were too lazy to do themselves and paid people to do them because they could afford it. How could this be the life of shinobi? Menma thought. Menma's inner turmoil was shattered as the front door burst open as he made it to the stairs. The stampede of feet made him snap behind him, only to be barreled over by his brother. "Sorry, Menma." Naruto calls over his shoulder. Menma sees the brightest smile his brother ever had on his face. Before he could ask what the cause was, Naruto charged into his room and slammed the door. "Naruto! You better not be slamming doors." Kushina's voice rings out from the kitchen but goes unanswered. Menma could feel his mother's ire from the stairs. Curious, Menma goes up to his brother's room. He opens the door to see his brother in a whirlwind as he shoves item after item into a camping backpack. Naruto goes to his desk and neatly puts his drawing journal and several writing utensils in the frontmost pocket of the bag. Then he goes under his bed, pulls a canteen out from under it, and attaches it to the side of the backpack. "Going somewhere?" Menma asks, amused by the sight. He never saw his brother this excited before. Naruto doesn't look at his brother as he does one final check of his bag. "Going on crank mission. I finally get a chance to see the world outside the village," Naruto responds offhandedly. He was getting a chance to leave and wouldn't let the opportunity go to waste. Menma stared dumbfounded at his brother. Naruto is going on a crank mission. That wasn't fair. Why couldn't he go? He is stronger than his brother and the holder of the Kyubi. You're kidding, right? Menma prods his brother for the truth. Their father wouldn't give the goofball a serious mission before them. With his usual grin, Naruto finally turns and boasts, "No, Two-chan really gave my team a mission to guard some builder." Naruto flourished his wrist as he talked. He didn't really care about the fine details of the mission, he was more interested in seeing Nami no Kuni. Naruto slings his pack over his shoulders and goes to leave. Menma remains rooted in his spot. Can I get by?" he asks Menma, not noticing the gobsmacked expression on his brother's face. Menma snaps out of his thoughts and is met with a worried expression on his brother's face. "Sorry," Menma swallowed as he let his brother go by. Naruto nearly skips as he passes his brother. "Take care of everything while I'm gone." Naruto jokes as he starts down the stairs. Menma glares daggers at Naruto's back as he goes. Naruto leaves his backpack by the door and goes into the kitchen. Kushina is stirring rice in a pan when Naruto comes in. "Hey, cousin," Naruto chimed in, making the woman turn around. "Naruken. Welcome home." Kushina rejoices at seeing her oldest. It was rare to see him home this early. Even though Naruto's team was done with missions by noon, he didn't come home till late afternoon. He would come home exhausted and covered in bruises, most likely from training. "Go wash up. Lunch will be ready soon," Kushina states as she returns to cooking. Naruto didn't move and blurted out why he was home. "I'm going on a mission outside the village." The response makes Kushina go rigid. She whips around, panic set on her face. The food on the stove is left forgotten. "Did your father approve this?" Kushina queried. She knew her husband would eventually send them on missions outside that were out of the village. She just didn't think it would be this soon. It didn't sit well with her that one of her babies was going out there, and she wasn't there to protect him. Naruto was getting tired of the doubt. Yes, frustration laced his words. She moves to her son and cups his chin to look him in the eye. You be careful out there, she stresses the word to her son. Danger lurked in every corner, and she wouldn't be there to look out for him. She would place her faith in Kakashi. You come home. You hear? She pleads to her son. Naruto smiles brightly, reassuring her. Don't worry, I'll make sure everyone comes home. Naruto says in a courageous manner. He would not be the reason for his mother to cry or leave his siblings without their brother. I promise. Kushina smiles and shakes her head fondly. Okay, Kushina relents, satisfied she got her point across. Go finish packing and go meet your team, she shoos him with a wave of her hand. Her son took all her worry away with his words. While walking to retrieve his backpack, it dawns on him that he forgot something important. I gotta tell Cringeon, he thinks to himself. Leaving without telling him could cause the dragon to worry. Looking at a nearby clock, he saw he still had 40 minutes before the team needed to meet up. He would need to hurry before he met up with Sakura to check if she had packed right. Naruto goes to open the door and is beaten to the punch by Akane, who is only sticking her head through the opening. She looks at him with shocked eyes, and he looks at her neutral ones. Hi, Ani, she says, trying to sound innocent while avoiding eye contact. Naruto raises an eyebrow at his sister's tone and quickly deduces what's going on. Akane was and still is never good at lying. What's up, Yamato? He probes the girl. She wanted something and was unsure if it was okay. Akane joined the academy at the age of 7, just like her older siblings. Being the daughter of the Hokage kept many kids away from her. Most of the children in her class were either civilian-born or from minor shinobi families. She likes the academy, she likes the teacher, and she likes working hard. Would it be okay to bring a friend home for lunch? Akane asked while darting her eyes behind her. Naruto cranes his neck, but she closes the door slightly to keep the person hidden. She then flashes her big doe eyes with a pout. The secret weapon to getting her way. Sighing heavily, Naruto relents to his sister's pleading, fine. Akane smiles brightly at her victory. By the way. He's cut off when his sister flings open the door. Come on, Konohamaruken. Akane yells, the boy happy to hear the news. Then Naruto sees it. His sister is holding hands with the boy. The kid was a dead man walking. Konohamaru lets Akane drag him into her house. However, his path is blocked by a pair of legs, and his hand is swatted out of Akane's. He crashes to the ground and looks at his obstacle. Naruto stood over him, a shadow casts over his face, glowing yellow eyes shine down on him. An aura of black mixed with malice surrounded his friend's brother. Aniki? He tilts his head before taking a step back. His nervousness makes him start to sweat bullets. You got some nerve, Saragaki. Naruto's voice came out distorted and monstrous. He slammed a fist into his palm and cracked his knuckles. He let out a heavy breath, steam rising from his mouth. Konohamaru took a step back, nervous about the teen's expression. After gathering his thoughts while stewing in anger, Menma came down the stairs when he heard the commotion. What's going on down here? Menma protested, acting like the man of the house. Look at their hands, Naruto spoke back, and Menma did as he asked. For several moments the world stilled. Appearing next to his brother Menma glared down at the young boy. He mimicked Naruto's deadly aura and gleaming eyes. The only difference between the two was Menma held a kunai in his hand in a reverse grip. I'll make sure the body isn't found, Onasan, Menma pledged while speaking about murdering the young boy. Why bother? Let's just turn his body to ash. It will be a secret between the two of us, Ototo. For once, the brothers could agree on something. The two brothers stepped closer, about to enact their plan. Poor Konohamaru is sweating bullets. However, a broom handle to the back of their heads shot them to the ground. The culprit, Kushina, stands behind the duo and sighs disappointingly while resting her head on her fingertips. Ignore my two idiot Musukos, Konohamaru-kun, Kushina apologizes tiredly. The day finally came. A day she dreaded. The day her two boys threatened any boy who became friends with her youngest daughter. Come on in for lunch, she waves Konohamaru past the two downed teens. A lump formed on the back of each boy's head. Steam floats up from the mark. As Kushina escorts the two young children to the dining room, she yells to Naruto, "Get going, Naruto." Naruto raises his upper body up and eyes his brother. "We'll get him later." "Totally," Menma replies while raising himself up. The two nod in agreement. "Leave Konohamaru alone," their little sister's voice hollers at them. He was her friend, and if she wanted to hang out with him, she would. To hell with her stupid big brothers. Naruto lets it go and stands to get his stuff. Shouldering his pack, he goes out the door to go see his friend. Uchiha household Sasuke finishes packing and shoulders his pack. He checked over his supplies twice. Weapons, food, and blankets were aplenty in his bag. He would not be unprepared on his first real mission. He walks out of his bedroom and goes down the hallway. He freezes, looking at a door that has not been opened in years. Itachi's room had always been inviting and warm, but now, it is like a plague was sealed within it. Sasuke's mother could never work up the nerve to go in and clean it. Sasuke would sometimes catch his father resting his hand on the door, almost like he expected Itachi to open it. Sasuke walks by the room and makes the same promise he had said all those years ago, "I'll bring you back." Sasuke makes it to the back porch of the house. He finds his father meditating peacefully while his mother tends to the garden. His father's eyes are no longer covered with a bandage as the man found it better to keep his eyelids shut. "I'm off. I'll be back soon," Sasuke says plainly before turning to leave. Fugaku calls out to him, "Sasuke, wait." Sasuke freezes in his step and looks over his shoulder. Fugaku puts a hand up and waves Sasuke back over, "Come here for a moment." Sasuke obeys and sits next to his father. Mikoto hums in the distance as she empties her watering can into the soil her flowers flourish in. "What is it, Tusama?" the young heir asks his father. Sasuke views his father as a man of few words. Sasuke heard about his father's reputation, a powerful man who was once considered a candidate for the Yondaime Hokage right next to Minato and Orochimaru. However, it wasn't meant to be, and he became a clan leader instead. Fugaku looks in Sasuke's direction. He felt pride as a father that his second son had become an outstanding young man. Fugaku never had to truly train Itachi, the boy was and still is a genius. A unseen generation power and intelligence that never needed guidance. Sasuke was a rough diamond that needed to be tempered and refined. It felt invigorating to teach and pass down knowledge that would be absorbed. "I want you to be careful out there. Stay close to your sensei and teammates. You are a clan heir. Act accordingly." Fugaku's imparting words prompted a nod from his son. Of course, Sasuke nods firmly. While he knew Naruto and Kakashi could handle themselves, it was Sakura he worried about. The girl is the weakest link in their team, and he would make sure. "Enough, Fugaku," Mikoto calls out as she brings her watering can up to stop it from pouring. She places it on the ground before walking over to her son and husband. Her heart warms to see her two boys together. She loved these moments. She goes to her son and cups his cheeks with both her hands. "You will be fine, and don't be afraid to lean on your team. A strong man knows when to accept help from others," her advice comes out gently. Sasuke stares at his mother's bright eyes before stepping out of her cupped hands. She doesn't see it, but Sasuke smiles as he leaves. "He'll be fine," Fugaku assures her. Mikoto crosses her arms over her bust and grips her arms. I still worry, she smiled faintly. She sits next to her husband and leans into him. She sighs heavily into Fugaku's shoulder. I want our family back, she sniffed. Fugaku brings an arm up and rubs his wife's back soothingly. We'll be together again someday, Fugaku counsels. He didn't know when, but he had faith in both his boys. Haruna household Mabuki Haruno runs around her house, trying her best to put on a brave face. She fails miserably. Sakura stands in her dining room, her pack open with a mountain of stuff on the table. Makeup, toiletries, nail polish, shampoo, conditioner, and all the underwear from her drawer, just to name a few essentials, as her mother put it. Mabuki is a fair-skinned woman with shoulder-length blonde hair with a single bang that falls down into her face. Her green eyes are inherited by her daughter. The white cheapao she has on displays 3 red circular designs at the bottom of the front of her dress as well as the back. Underneath the dress, she wears pink 3/4 length pants and brown sandals. She runs by and constantly names off things and their reasons for being important. An extra pair of stockings. Never know when you need to woo the men or need a net for fishing. Rope, just in case you need to tie something or someone up. She places said objects on the table with the pile. Then finally, a pair of scissors, just in case you need to cut something delicately, she explains. She smiles and nods her head acting like someone just praised her. Sakura watches as the mountain of stuff grows until she finally can no longer deal with her mother's actions. Kachin, stop, she interrupted her mother mid-sentence. This was taking too long. She might miss Naruto at the park. Mabuki stiffens as she sees her daughter's frustration all over her face. Mabuki moves into a chair beside her daughter. Not really helping, am I? Mabuki admits. When Sakura told her about the mission outside the village, she panicked. She was once a kunoichi but is now retired and has some experience in what to pack for missions. Sakura smiles appreciatively. You are helping. Sakura assures her mother, but there is something that bothers her. It's just a lot, Kachin. Sakura's uncertainty stemmed from the unknown. I wonder what Naruto-kun packed, Sakura whispers to herself. Mabuki smiles when she catches the name. The woman lets a nostalgic sigh. Mabuki could really use her husband's help, but the man had gone out to meet some old shinobi buddies. You know, when I went on my first mission away from the village, I made a huge mistake, Mabuki begins while speaking. Really? Sakura gasps. She leans on her table to get in closer. Yes, Mabuki attested as she got comfortable telling her story. It was a simple mission. All my team had to do was bring a scroll to the daimyo's palace. Her whimsical tone has her daughter hanging on every word. Well, we were going through the heart of Hai no Kuni when we came to a river. Well, instead of taking a nearby bridge, I decided to act cool and use some rocks to hop along. Sensei tried to stop me, but I slipped and ended up in the water. The scroll was in my bag that fell in the water with me. Sakura lets out a chuckle while covering her mouth. Yeah, and I had to be the one to deliver it to the daimyo, the soak scroll. Then I had to explain to Sandaime-sama why we were refused pay. Mabuki ends her story with her daughter and her laughing. After she calms down, she says, what I'm trying to say is, this is your first mission, and you may make mistakes, and that's okay. As long as you learn from them, everything will cork out. She then gets up from the table. How about you pack yourself, and I'll clean up the mess I made. Sakura looks at the mountain of stuff and picks through it. She checked the time and saw she had 45 minutes to get everything together. She emptied her bag to start fresh before going through the pile of stuff. Waterfall Cave. Naruto pushes through the waterfall and goes barreling into the cave. Again, getting out of Konoha was child's play. The 2 chunin in charge of the gate were terrible at their job. The two men were distracted by a book and giggling non-stop with their noses buried. Naruto reaches the spot where Cringeon called his den and finds the giant lizard haphazardly eating fish and other game. Naruto gained an idea and a wicked grin. Cringeon flicks a fish up in the air before chomping on it. He had to keep his energy up. There was no telling if danger lurked around the corner. He snaps his mighty jaws around another fish and enjoys the thing slide down the back of his throat. Delicious, the Dragon King thought happily. His good mood skyrocketed when he caught the familiar scent. His student was doing well, sticking to the shadows and masking his breathing. The air shifting was an easy way to detect where his young ward was coming from. As Naruto dives out from the shadows, Cringeon effortlessly swats him with his tail, causing the boy to careen into some stalagmites and be buried by the rubble. "Nice try, hatchling," Cringeon jested while stuffing his maw with a fish. Naruto, dirty but unscathed, pops out of the rubble and whines, "How'd you know?" He then pulls himself out and wipes the dirt off himself. Cringeon sucks down another fish before patting his nose with a claw. "The nose knows," Cringeon replied humorously. He returns to his pile with gusto. Naruto waves the great beast off, tired of him being a show-off. "Bah," Naruto retorted before he went sits next to the dragon. He couldn't help but gaze at the mighty beast. He puts a hand on Cringeon's long neck. His fingers glide on the rough stone-like scales. He notices a few of the usual copper scales are now dulled gray. Naruto brushes it off, thinking it is due to the dragon's age. Naruto stated the reason for the abrupt visit. "I'm going out of the village on a mission." Naruto was looking for guidance on his feelings of excitement. "I can't contain myself. I just want to go and see the world," effused words shot from Naruto's mouth. Cringeon stops eating, giving the boy his full attention. "It is a big step for you as a young man and as a young dragon," Cringeon's wise words made the boy look up at him in awe. Cringeon couldn't help but mirror Naruto. The boy had come to Cringeon in his time of need and gave Cringeon a friend. Naruto talked to him, tried to unbury him, and bandaged his wounds when he couldn't. Naruto is a special person. "I have the utmost faith you will do great things." Cringeon then puffs out his chest and boasts, "After all, you have been trained by me." The dragon lets out a belly laugh at his own joke. Naruto laughs with the dragon. He always felt better when he comes to talk to Cringeon. Naruto then stops abruptly and gains a melancholic expression. Naruto had a concern. He had been feeling this odd sensation for the past couple of months. "I've been feeling this need," he starts and looks at the dragon with pleading eyes. The dragon is patient with his young ward. Naruto thought for a moment to gather his feeling. "It's like every part of my body wants to leave this place and my family behind," worry and regret laced his words. Should he feel guilty about this? Why do I feel like this all the time? The most horrifying part was he didn't seem bothered by it. Like it was discussing the weather. Cringeon hums in a low rumble in thought. The silence was killing Naruto, and as he went to repeat his question, he was cut off by Cringeon. "That is simply your new nature. Dragons always sought what was beyond the horizon. The sense of adventure always burning in our blood." Cringeon looked at the boy with an assuring glance. Naruto looked ready to panic, but Cringeon nudged him with his snout, making the boy calm down. Naruto leaned on the maw of the dragon, his arms hugging it. "Dragons do make dens or homes when they find a reason to stay," Cringeon informed the boy. It did the trick, and Naruto calmed down. Naruto looked the dragon in the eye and asked, "Why do you stay?" If dragons were nomadic, why did Cringeon stay? "I have a reason to stay," Cringeon answered warmly. Naruto laughed cheerily as he got up. Naruto looks around the cave one more time. "I got to get going. Will you be okay by yourself for a couple of weeks?" He wanted to make sure his friend would be okay without him. Cringeon snorted at the question. He couldn't fly, but he wasn't incompetent. "Boy, I have been on my own for a long time. I can manage just fine without you, Cringeon sassed the boy. It was slightly insulting. Naruto laughed at the grumpy lizard before he started to leave. See ya, he cheers and goes out of the cave. Good luck, my friend, Cringeon says softly as his friend disappears past the waterfall. Naruto would be fine, Cringeon could feel it in his bones. Outside the cave, a pair of eyes behind a rabbit mask watched Naruto leap out of the waterfall. While the boy was his target, curiosity got the better of him. The Uzumaki Namikaze was in the cave for an extended period of time. Usagi needed any new or interesting information for his lord. His life was already forfeited because of his mistake. The Hokage wanted him, so he could be interrogated, and his lord wanted him dead to cover up his tracks. However, a new bit of intel could sway his master into sparing him. Finding the cave was easy enough. Usagi dashed through but stuck to the shadows, never knowing what could be found. Usagi expects to find something, a lab, a base, hell, even a poorly made training room, but he only saw rocks, stalagmites, and stalactites. What the hell is this boy doing? Usagi contemplated as he stealthily moved in the shadows. A little further in, he finds a pile of bones. Now he wondered if he was dealing with a psychopath or a new Orochimaru. However, he dismissed the thoughts as the boy didn't fit the psychological profile. He passed a giant rock along the way and eventually came to a cavern. A stone slab made of a different rock was in the corner, meaning it didn't belong. Some food stores in the opposite corner such as fish, meat and some fruit. A shift in the air behind him made Usagi turn and palm the handle of the sword on his back. His eyes scanned the area. Something was moving towards him. A hot blast of air on his back made him go stiff. Usagi was trained to never feel fear or show pain, but he felt his skin get ridged with goosebumps. He turns slowly behind and is met with rows of sharp teeth, a snarling maw, and two glowing eyes. A low grumble from Cringeon's throat echoes in the shinobi's ears. I smelt you outside. You've been following my friend, Cringeon states to the rabbit-masked agent. Usagi took an apprehensive step back. This was beyond his imagination. Never did he think the plain boy would have befriended a dragon. Danzasama must be informed. Usagi considered his options. He had only one exit and needed to move fast to reach it. He knew he was no match for such a beast. He turned tail and ran. Cringeon inhaled deeply before breathing a great beam of fire. The shinobi could feel the breath catching up to him, the heat reaching his skin like a phantom trying to take his soul. He pumps more chakra into his legs, trying to spur them on. Cringeon pushes more magic into his breath to make it more powerful and faster. Usagi saw the light reflecting off the water as he neared the entrance. He was going to get away. However, the heat became more intense. The backs of his arms and legs catch fire, but he doesn't scream. He bites back a scream as he continues to run. His hair catches fire next before the fire stretches to his front, blackening his flesh. He is nearly at the entrance when the fire engulfs the agent. He begins to scream, but the fire enters his throat, smoldering his vocal cords. The blast of fire incinerates the root agent, turning everything on him to dust, including his weapons, armor, and mask. The beam shoots out of the entrance, evaporating the waterfall and the river. It travels a mile downstream before fading. Nature pauses as the steam rises in the air, after several seconds before the water flows again. As the breath diminishes from Cringeon, the dragon begins coughing heavily. It wasn't a simple cough from the throat but a deep wet cough from his lungs. He coughed for several seconds, trying to gain his breath. Suddenly, with one final cough, a glob of blood splatters to the ground in front of him. Cringeon eyes the bloody bile for a moment, wisps of gold coming off him more intensely than before. I don't have much time, Cringeon thought with dread in his heart. He turns to go to sleep in hopes of staving off what ails him. Park Sakura sits on a bench near the entrance to the park by her house. She looks at a watch her mother gave her. 10 minutes left before the team and client had to meet up. She sat nervously with the pack on her lap. With time winding down, Sakura begins to think Naruto isn't going to show. She sighs heavily before she begins to stand. I guess he had something more important to do. It wasn't like Naruto owed her anymore. In fact, she owed him almost everything. He introduced her to Tsunade and helped her graduate from the academy. She lowers her head in melancholy before she begins to walk away. Oi! Sakura! Naruto's boisterous voice calls to her, making her pause in her tracks. She looks up in surprise before she smiles at seeing the teen waving at her from across the park. She meets him halfway, and she takes notice of Naruto's pack. It looked bulbous and bulky, like he packed for the next 3 years. You pack enough, she comments while gesturing her head towards the bag. Naruto gives a goofy smile and laughs. I've been dreaming of this moment for a long time. I would rather be over-prepared than ill-prepared. His eyes fall on Sakura's bag. Let's have a look. They return to the bench Sakura sat at as Naruto began to look through its contents. He saw some basic necessities, packaged snacks, canteen, and medical supplies. So far, so good, Naruto says as he continues to look through the bag. Sakura rocks on her heels as she waits for Naruto to finish. The praise makes her blush, her cheeks now matching her hair. I would be okay with this pack, Naruto ends as he looks at her. Sakura smiles brightly and reveals how the bag got packed. Thanks, but I can't take all the credit. My Kachin helped me. She didn't want to take all the credit. Naruto smiles, but it drops when he feels something in the bag. He looks down into the bag. His ears turn a dark red. Sakura? What are these for? Naruto inquires, and right there in the park, in public, he pulls out a pair of black lacy underwear. It was sexy and enticing. It was frilly on the edges. The material becomes more transparent, so it could show a woman's mound. Sakura turns atomic red and quickly snatches the panties from her friend's hand. You didn't see anything. Got it, she orders. She quickly stuffs them in a side pocket of her pack. She must have overlooked it when she repacked. She then whips around and sees what became of her friend. Naruto is like a statue, with his arms still extended. Mental images of Sakura wearing the black lace fill his mind. Yeah, sure, he says dreamily. It would be a sight to behold. Sakura didn't know whether to be angry or overjoyed by her teammate's reaction. It was flattering that he liked the underwear, but she wasn't happy he pulled it out in public. She did wish that he got to see them on her. Cutting off her in his fantasies, she chimes in, come on, Kakashi-sensei is probably waiting. She takes the bag and slings it over her shoulders. Naruto gets up and follows after her. They walk shoulder to shoulder and have a friendly conversation. Gate Sasuke leans against the wall next to the gate. He was the first to arrive and had been 10 minutes early. Maybe it was the discipline ingrained in him by his parents, but being 10 minutes early was on time. He wanted to be professional and show the client he'd chosen wisely. However, the client wasn't even here. He felt like a fool. His brother was already a captain in Umbu at his age, and he was still doing genin-level missions. It would take forever before he reached that level. It felt like he was climbing the steepest mountain. Laughter brought him out of his thoughts. Down the road, he spied his two teammates walking together, laughing. The two intrigued and confused Sasuke. Naruto was an enigma. He was only motivated by fighting strong opponents and leaving the village. The teen never made any friends in the academy and mainly kept his nose in his books. The only time he ever showed a sign of personality was when it came to the sparring matches. Sasuke could swear Naruto was bored with all of them. Then there was Sakura. She had been little more than a handicap for Team 7. Her talents lay in her intelligence and chakra control. She was starting to show an aptitude for Iryo ninjutsu. However, she could only stitch some minor cuts. Honestly, he would have much rather had anyone else on his team. Sasuke's face scrunches at the thought. Anyone except Ino. He hates the fact she swoons over him every time she sees him. Besides, he had his eyes on another blonde. Yo! Naruto shouts before waving at Sasuke like a fool and running to him. Sasuke rests his head against his palm. Maybe he was just an idiot. "You've been waiting long?" the blonde teen asks the Uchiha. His answer comes in the form of a shake of the head. Sakura walks over steadily. And looks around. Sensei and the client aren't here. The puzzled girl looks around. It didn't look good to be half-assembled when the client arrived. He better not show up 2 hours late, she seethed in anger. Her sensei's antic of being late had gotten old really quick. The man was late for everything, training, missions, and meetings. Then came the lame excuses. Then as if summoned, Kakashi comes up the road dragging Tazuna behind him. "Hello, my cute little genin. Are we all ready?" Kakashi inquires as he shoves a semi-sober Tazuna in front of them. The man stumbles but doesn't fall. He does an awkward one-leg hop to gain his balance. He stands tall and acts like nothing happened. He dusts off his shirt and fixes his hat. "Alright, let's get a move on. I need to get back to my village and build my bridge," the man's gruff voice commanded. He turned and began to walk in the direction of his village. Kakashi takes notice of the big pack on Naruto. Little much, isn't Naruto? The bag was big and bulky. He didn't want that to slow them down. Naruto dashed Kakashi's worries with a wave and a smile. "Don't worry, Kakashini-ai. I'll be fine." Naruto flashes a toothy grin as he lifts the pack by its straps with his thumbs. He then starts to walk. Route to Nami no Kuni. Kakashi had to admit that this mission was just his speed, dull, quiet, and slow. The best part was he could get to read his books. Honestly, all was fine with the world. He looks past his book to see Tazuna walking in the center of a diamond formation of his team. Sasuke was in the front. Impressively, he was scanning the tree line for movement. His hand hovered near his kunai pouch. The training from Makitosuma and Fugakusuma is paying off. Sasuke never really needed training from him. His parents gave it to him in spades. His eye scans over to Tazuna's left and spies Naruto. Drawing. Kakashi couldn't help but sweat drop. This isn't a field trip. Kakashi should reprimand his squad member, but who was he to judge? He glances over the teen's shoulder and notices the design. It was an exceptionally detailed map, but of what Kakashi could piece together. Kakashi then glances at the lone female member of his team. Sakura perplexed the man. He didn't expect much out of her after reading her file. She lacked majorly in the physical department. Her mind was her greatest asset. She was a genius when it came to academics. However, he started to notice some minor changes in her. She wasn't as exhausted after every mission. She gained some minor muscle tone in her arms and legs. She was getting better slowly but surely. Then there was the way she carried herself, like a professional. She was acting like a professional more and more. She is eyeing their client, itching to ask him something. Sakura cranes her neck to look at her client. Tazuna-san, her meek tone draws the burly man's attention. "Yeah," the man's gruff voice answered. He cast a sideways glance at the girl. He didn't want to talk to the shinobi. They were hired to protect him, not ask questions. Sakura was slightly discouraged but spoke her question anyway. "Where exactly is Nami no Kuni?" "It's off the east coast of Hai no Kuni and near Mizu no Kuni," Naruto piped up without looking away from his work. Tazuna shot the boy a puzzled look. Yes, it is, he says softly. It is a shock to see that someone knew about his tiny village. Sakura shared the same expression on her face as Tazuna. Then again, Naruto was always knowledgeable when it came to maps. So why not go to Mizu no Kuni? Kakashi knew the answer to that question. They're in the middle of a civil war. He heard about the Mizukage putting out a kill order on all people who held any trace of a Kekii Genkai in their blood. Tazuna nods, yes, they are not taking any missions right now. He tried to send them a message but received a generic decline with a stamped signature from the Mizukage. So he went to the next best village. Uhu, I get it now, Sakura grins in understanding. Now it made sense. Will we encounter any shinobi from Chijiri no Sato? What do we do then? At the mention of the word shinobi, Tazuna flinches, and Kakashi takes notice. His lone exposed eye narrows. A bead of sweat drips down the back of the fat man's neck. Kakashi can see the sign that the man is nervous about something. Kakashi files into his brain for later and answers his student, I don't think we will. And if we do, don't worry. I doubt they would want to start a war with Konoha. It was an honest answer. If anything, they would ask for help, and frankly, Kakashi wasn't going to offer it. Naruto didn't really care what was being said around him. He was too excited about making his map. So far, he had a rough sketch done, but it was coming along nicely. He was about to start adding detail when he smelt something in the air. The smell of copper mixed with a chemical. He then notices a puddle on the side of the road. It was odd because the ground was dry and cracked, meaning it hadn't rained in a long while. Trouble was near. Kakashinii, Naruto's warning gets his team's, clients, and leaders' attention. Kakashi took notice of the puddle and drew a kunai from his pouch. From the puddle, a man emerges. The man has shoulder length, wild dark brown hair and dark eyes. He wears a rebreather that covers the lower half of his face and a large, clawed gauntlet on his right arm with a bladed chain going into the water. He wore a black and gray camouflage suit with bandages around his waist, dark-colored knee-length sandals, and a ragged black cape. His Kirigakure Haitaya has a single horn sprouting up the left side. Kakashi knew this to be Gozu, one of the Oni Kyodai. Which meant his brother couldn't be far behind. Gozu dashes forward, the long chain still in the water. He ignores the genin and goes right for Kakashi. His speed surprised the genin as he was in front of Kakashi in a heartbeat. Kakashi stepped back from a swipe and jumped over a backhand. Gozu presses a button on his gauntlet hand, and the chain begins to reel into the gauntlet. Out of the water comes Gozu's twin brother, Meizu. Meizu has shoulder length, wild dark brown hair and dark eyes. Like his brother, he wears a rebreather covering the lower half of his face and a large, clawed gauntlet on his left arm. Meizu's chain is attached to his brother's gauntlet. He wears the same color camouflage suit as his brother with bandages around his waist, dark-colored knee-length sandals, and several pouches around his waist. His Kirigakure Haitaya has 2 horns on it. Meizu landed in a crouch with a heavy thud in the dirt. Snapping his head up, he dashes to the jonin and reels back his claws. Kakashi notices and moves his head out of the way. Kakashi snaps a kick out and sends the missing nin flying into the woods. Team 7, Protection Formation. Kakashi barks out the order, and the 3 snap out of their stupor. The 3 genin took a triangle formation around Tazuna. Sasuke kept his eyes on the twins, relaxed and ready to act. Sakura's eyes darted between her sensei and the Oni Kyodai. This was nothing like her training. Her palms sweat against the handle of the kunai she has in a reverse grip. Then there is Naruto, grinning like a madman with a crazed expression. His blood screamed for him to join in, but he forced the desire down to listen to his older brother. Gozu gives his brother a nod, and Meizu responds with one of his own. The brothers aim their gauntlets at Kakashi, and they simultaneously press a button on their gauntlets. There is a loud bang from the gauntlet before the chain rockets from their gauntlets. The chain cuts through the air and nails Kakashi in the stomach before seemingly bisecting him. Kakashi's body blows into the grass on the side of the road. The teenage Genin and Tazuna were each in a different state of horror. Tazuna felt a pit of guilt form in his stomach. This was all his fault, maybe he should have come clean. Not only had he gotten a man killed, and he was going to be responsible for getting 3 kids killed as well. Sakura lets out a shivering gasp escape her lips. The blade in her hand trembled. She didn't know what to do. Her brain could not function. Sasuke swallowed a lump in his throat while he narrowed his eyes. His thoughts raced as he tried to form a plan. Then there was Naruto, shaking. Shaking with rage. Kakashi ni. Sasuke scared as he saw Naruto was about to lose it. Idiot! Control yourself! Sasuke shouted in his head. Sasuke needed him to help protect the client. Nothing had changed. The mission would come first. Gozu saw Naruto's state and took advantage of the situation. One down, he declares as his brow knits together with arrogance. He flexes the claws on his gauntlet to add to his taunt. Naruto let out a mighty roar before he charges the two. Gozu steps forward to intercept the overzealous Genin. Naruto jumps before bringing down his heel with a battle cry. Gozu puts his gauntlet up to block. Gozu feels the bones in his arms rattle when Naruto lands the kick. Gozu jumps back and lets the kick land in the dirt in front of him. An explosion of dirt kicks up, blocking the twins' view. Gozu backs away from the impact zone and takes a second to look at his gauntlet. Where Naruto had kicked, it was now dented. What's with this kid? Gozu says in mild surprise. Naruto launches from the cloud and rushes Gozu. Gozu blocks a blow with his gauntlet again, and he feels the metal warping. Naruto pulled back his arm and smashed his fist against it again, making Gozu lash a kick to try and gain distance. Naruto grits his teeth as he blocks it with his elbow. His eyes grow wide when he senses someone behind him. Naruto receives a kick in the back of his head, causing him to skid into the dirt before he rights himself up. When you fight one of us, you fight both of us, Meizu chides the teen. Naruto hisses in anger while dropping into a fighting stance. Gozu eyes their target, being guarded by Sakura and Sasuke. It would be easy to kill the old man and disappear into the forest. Meizu, go get the bridge builder. I'll deal with the Gaki. Gozu shouts his orders. Meizu nods and rushes off toward the remaining genin. Now, just you and me, little genin. I'm Gozu, by the way, Gozu spoke casually to the teen. I don't care, was Naruto's sharp reply before he charged again. Gozu parries and deflects Naruto's wild assault. With the other 2 genin, Sasuke is the first to notice Meizu's charge. Sakura, stay with the client. Sasuke orders the girl before he charges to meet the assassin. He pulls out 2 kunai and throws them with precision at Meizu's eyes. Meizu swipes his gauntlet to deflect the kunai away. It was what Sasuke wanted. The swipe caused Meizu to lose sight of the Uchiha, and Sasuke capitalized. Sasuke uses his speed and attacks Meizu's exposed side. Sasuke drives a knee into the assassin's side before he grabs the back of Meizu's suit, spins swiftly, and tosses the man away. Meizu wasn't about to be outdone by the likes of a genin. Meizu digs his gauntlet into the ground and uses his momentum to slingshot himself back at Sasuke with his leg extended. Sasuke crosses his arms over his chest to block the heavy kick. Still midair from the kick, Meizu smirks under his mask before digging his free hand into the dirt. Grabbing a fistful of dirt, he rotates his body, so his fistful of dirt is thrown towards Sasuke's face and tosses it into Sasuke's face. Sasuke closes one eye, but the dirt still blocks most of his view. Sasuke gets a hard kick to his ribs, making the teen wince and grunt in pain. Meizu doesn't ease his assault and follows up with a haymaker with his non-gauntlet hand. Sasuke throws a wild punch and smashes the assassin in the jaw. While he could have activated his Sharingan and ended it quickly, he wanted to test himself. He wanted to see if he could defeat a strong opponent without it. Like his brother most likely could. Sasuke pulls a shuriken from his pouch and slings them at Meizu. Meizu swings his gauntlet and bats them into the dirt. Sasuke finishes the final seal of his jutsu. Katan, Gokakyu no Jutsu. The fireball engulfs the assassin. Sasuke prolongs the fire for a few more seconds before he cuts it off. The ground sizzles, and smoke dances up from it. The only trace of Meizu is a pile of blackened cloth. Sasuke smirks triumphantly and relaxes. He had come far since he started training in his backyard. He felt one step closer to facing his brother and returning him home. His glory is cut short by a kunai launched from the ground, aimed at his head, which he barely dodges. The blade just nicking his cheek right below his left eye. Like an explosion, Meizu erupts from the sand and has his gauntlet reeled back, ready to kill the teen. Before the final blow is struck, a kunai sticks into the dirt. Attached to the ring of the kunai is a strain of ninja wire tied to an explosive tag. The thing sizzles only for a second before it blows. Sasuke manages to get away mostly unscathed. Meizu flies away from the blast zone, a trail of smoke behind him. Sakura had no idea when she did it, but she did it. She needed to save her teammate in his time of need. It was just like she had practiced with Tsunade. She looks down at her hand and looks at the calluses. Little by little, the training was all coming together. Heleva throw, girly, Tazuna says behind her. She had done it so quick that he had nearly missed it. She then clenches her fist. It felt great. Meizu rights himself in midair before landing with a skid, using his claw to into the ground to slow himself. Sasuke doesn't give the man a chance to recover. He meets the man at his spot with a leap and slams his right elbow into the top of the man's skull. Meizu's eyes widen from the pain, and a grunt escapes his mouth. Meizu's eyes lose their focus, and his knees buckle. Sasuke does a corkscrew flip and slams his foot into the man's face. Meizu's eyes roll into the back of his head. One final thought passed through the assassin's mind before darkness embraced him, "Sorry, boss." Sasuke stares down indifferently at his unconscious opponent. He looks over at Sakura and gives a nod of thanks to the girl. She returns one. Sasuke rips the gauntlet before he pulls a bundle of ninja wire from his pouch and ties the man up to a tree. Gozu is launched into the air and lands roughly in the dirt. Naruto comes down on the man's chest, knee first, and hears several cracks. Gozu lets out an agonizing scream as blood comes out of his rebreather. The assassin glares angrily at the teen. "I'm not losing to some snot-nosed kid," he seethes. Gozu slashes his gauntlet at the black-haired teen, trying to escape from his predicament. Naruto leaps back before landing in a squat 3 yards away. Gozu gets up while holding his ribs. He may not be able to win today, but he could take one down. Gozu rises slowly, the pain in his body begging him to stay down. However, he couldn't. They need the money from this job. His village's future relied on him. The man digs deep before pumping as much chakra as possible into his legs and gauntlet-covered arm. This was his final assault. He rushes towards his kill. Naruto snarls as he slams his fists together. His right fist becomes embossed with fire. Naruto rushes and meets Gozu Hiden. Gozu lashes his gauntlet at the teen and Naruto his flaming fist. Karyu no Tekken. Naruto's fist met the bladed fingers. The two were at a stalemate for a moment, and Gozu thought he could overpower the kid. That was until he felt the heat on his fingers. The gauntlet disintegrates from Naruto's attack. Bits of the metal fall to the ground in a molten mess, and the cloth within the gauntlet floats up in ashes. Then came the flesh of Gozu's hand. The assassin felt pain beyond his imagination. Naruto's fist smashed the fingers, wrist, and arm bones while his fire ate away at the man's flesh. Naruto roars as his punch blows the man away from him. Gozu flies away like a rocket and stops when his back smashes against a tree. Naruto marches up to the man and sees the man's disheveled state. Gozu stares at the ground like it is an abyss. It was just an easy job. But you and your group had to meddle, Gozu wheezes out. Naruto grabs the assassin by the throat and lifts him up. Gozu coughs from the hold. Anger burned in his chest like an inferno. You shouldn't have killed my Nizan. Naruto's words came out cold and filled with wrath. He then reels his arm back and ignites it with fire. He drives the fist forward, aiming for the assassin's heart. Sasuke looks on in horror at how cold-blooded the usually calm and reserved teen has become. He wanted to stop it but found the words stuck in his throat. However, his teammate didn't hesitate to shout her plea. Naruto! Stop! Sakura is pale and panicking. She didn't want to see anyone die. Not even a person that nearly killed all of them and the client. A black blur dashes out from the woods and rushes at Naruto. Naruto paused at hearing her voice. The fire in his blood died down, but his fist shook in fury. The temptation to avenge his brother still poisoned his mind. He wanted to do it so bad. He felt every fiber of his being telling him to end the man and take revenge. A hand gently grasps Naruto on the shoulder, and a familiar calm voice comes from behind him. Easy, Naruto. Everything's fine. Naruto whips around and sees Kakashi seeing it with his exposed eye closed and his mask showing he is smiling. Naruto's face widens in shock before it returns to its usual bright expression. Kakashi-ni. Naruto cries out before he turns around and lets Gozu fall to the ground like a puppet with cut strings. Naruto hugs the man, tears nip the corner of his eyes. I thought you were dead, Naruto sniffed. It was the most enormous relief he had ever felt. Kakashi pats the boy's head and says, "Come on, it'll take more than that to kill me." He had seen everything from his spot in the trees. His death had been a test to see how his team would react. He had a critique for every one of them, but he was impressed. However, he could help but shudder at Naruto. The boy had been like a rabid beast. Then there was the power he had, it frightened Kakashi. Alright, we have a job to do. Kakashi pats the boy on the shoulder, signaling it is time to get back to work. Naruto breaks away from the man before nodding and going back to pick up Gozu. Kakashi watches the back of the boy as he leaves. His mission from the Hokage was getting more complicated by the minute. After tying the assassins to a tree, Kakashi looks at his squad. Not bad for a first-time outing, my cute little genin, Kakashi boasts proudly, I smile and hands on his hip. Naruto whoops and jumps like a kid. Sasuke smirks before resting the back of his hand on his hip. Sakura's smile could have been a beacon in a midnight blizzard. Then he turns to the bridge builder, who is quiet and edging away from the group. Now, Tazuna-san, Kakashi's voice becomes hard and professional. Care to explain why you have shinobi after you? Tazuna had the decency to look embarrassed. Though not enough to try to lie. I don't know what you're talking about. He wouldn't meet the Jonin's eyes. Lie again, and I untie these men and let them finish what they tried to do, Kakashi countered darkly. He was in no mood to deal with the man's lies. You could have gotten all of my team killed, Kakashi growled. The man had put them in more danger than was necessary. If you have shinobi after you, that means you lied about the details of the mission. These two are listed as crank missing mean. That means that this mission should be B, borderline a rank mission. Kakashi demanded answers. His team and Konoha deserved answers. Tazuna was quiet and still found the ground more interesting than the shinobi. I want an explanation. Kakashi snaps and takes a step toward the old man. Tazuna sighs before taking his glasses off and rubbing his eyes. He felt like he had aged 20 years over the past few minutes. He places his glasses back over his eyes before starting to speak. I didn't tell you because my village couldn't afford a mission that expensive. He bows his head in shame and says, we've given you all we had. He then gets on his hands and knees before laying his forehead on the ground. Please, I beg of you. Help us free our village. Tazuna pleads as he prostrates himself. The teens looked between the two men awkwardly. They didn't know how this would play out. Kakashi's stern expression remains on his face. Start talking. Tazuna lifted his head and began to spin a tale. Nami no Kuni is under the thumb of Gato. Tazuna spits the name. Kakashi raises an eyebrow. He had heard the name before. Gato? As in, the owner of Gato Company? The name had passed through many shinobi circles. From what he had gathered, out in public, the man was a legitimate businessman, but behind closed doors, he is said to be an underworld crime boss. Rumors suggested that he dealt in arms trading, drug dealing, racketeering, extortion, price gouging, prostitution, sex trafficking, and kidnapping. Just to name a few. Yes, Tazuna confirms before standing up. All the rumors about him are true. He's been bleeding our village dry of all its resources while keeping us under his thumb with his hired thugs, Tazuna says as he clenches his fists. The smug expression of the pint-sized man flashes in his mind. Kakashi is still staring coldly for a moment before sighing in defeat. Me and my bleeding heart, Kakashi grimaced internally. He was in a conundrum. By all rights, he should return to the village and explain to the Hokage why they abandoned the mission. However, he wasn't an unfair man. He would let the rest of his team decide. So what do you all think? This is your mission, too, he says while turning to face the teens. Sakura felt her heart go out to the man and his village. They were under the control of a cruel man, and no one was helping them. She balls a hand over her heart and grabs the wrist with the other hand. She was afraid, but she thought of something worse, all those people living in fear. There was no second guessing. We have to help them, she declares. She throws her shoulders back and stands determined. One vote yes. Sasuke doesn't even make eye contact with the man or his sensei. This is my chance to get stronger, Sasuke told the group. He looks at the two assassins before going on, if these are the kind of enemies we'll face, then I say we go. He didn't add any more and kept leering at the two assassins. So far, it had been a challenge, but not one that pushed him to his limits. He needed to know what was truly out in the real world. To know where he stood in terms of real fighters. 2 votes yes. That left only one person who didn't need to be asked. Kakashi then looks over at Naruto, who pounds his fist into his palm. You think I'm going to cut this time out of the village short, then you're out of your mind. Naruto declares. They were only a couple of miles out of the village and already had some incredible excitement. Let's go save some people, like heroes in a story. Naruto hollers, excited by how this new adventure is starting. Kakashi couldn't help but smile. All three may have had different reasons for continuing, but they all had good hearts. That was something he hoped wouldn't dilute as they went on with their careers. He then claps to gain everyone's attention. Okay, the mission will continue. Kakashi declares. Tazuna looks at the teens with tears in his eyes. He bows his head. You have the thanks of everyone in my village, the grateful words pour from his mouth. His dream was coming true right before his eyes. Kakashi looks at the brother before. He speaks, I'll send word to the village to recover these two and make sure everyone gets a share of their bounties. He then looks at Tazuna with a serious expression. I will inform the Hokage of the changes, and you will owe Konoha a debt. He already knew he would get a chewing out for continuing such a mission. Then, if he survived, he would need to find a bunker, so Kushina and Mikoto didn't kill him or his books. Onward we go. The group continues down the path, unaware of what awaits them. Uzumaki Namike's household Minato appears in his office through the Hiration. He is glad to be home after a long day. However, as he sits in his office chair, he notices Menma sitting on his couch in deep contemplation. He is leaned over, his elbows on his knees. Minato's eyebrows shot up in surprise. Menma hadn't detected his entrance. "If something is bothering you, you can tell me," Minato speaks, rousing the boy from his thoughts. Menma had picked up a terrible habit of chewing his fingernails when stressed. Minato couldn't fathom why the boy thought he had the weight of the world on his shoulders. Menma snaps his head up. He pulls his fingers away from his mouth. He swallows a lump in his throat. He was beyond nervous. "Why did you give Naruto a crank mission?" Menma asked lowly, trying to remain calm. Minato now understood why the boy was waiting for him. Sighing heavily, he closes his eyes and rubs the back of his head. "Listen, Menma," Kakashi asked, and they got it. Simple as that, Minato tries to placate Menma's worries. Menma didn't like the answer. It was too simple and absent-minded to be an answer from the Hokage. "Why didn't we get one first?" Menma asked heatedly. Weren't he and Narumi supposed to be the next leaders of this village? So then, why were they regulated to missions in the village? "Because Menma, you didn't ask for one," Minato sharply answered. He wasn't going to be talked to like that by his son. Menma took a step back and looked away, intimidated by his father's tone. "I just want to be treated the same as Naruto," Menma revealed. He is the clan heir and needs to prove he is worthy of his title. Minato's face softens, and he rubs the top of his head. Now he understood his youngest son's outburst. He walks up to Menma and places a hand on his head. "It's not about treating any of you differently from the other," Minato assures his son. He tussles the boy's blonde hair. "It's about giving each of you what you need," Minato states. "What you and Naruto need are completely different from one another." A smile breaks across the man's face and reveals something interesting. "Besides, I got something special planned for your team." "Special?" Menma thinks the word over and over. He smiles, liking the sound of that. He couldn't wait to hear more about this special assignment. "What is it?" Menma tries to convince his father to tell him. He didn't have the puppy dog eyes like Narumi or Akane. Minato wags his finger side to side as he tuts the boy. "Tomorrow when you come for assignment," Minato declares with finality. He needed his wife there to give the main details about the mission. It would be a test for both the children as shinobi and as future leaders. Menma pouts at not getting his way. "Now scoot. I have to go talk to your Kachin." Minato waves the boy off and goes to find his wife. Humming from the dining room caught the Hokage's attention. He stealthy peeks into the dining room and sees the lovely red hair. She is sitting in one of the chairs while writing something down on a pad of paper. He comes up behind her, encircles her in a hug, and plants a kiss on the top of her head. "Hello, beautiful," Minato says sensually into her ear. Kushina lets a hum of enjoyment. "Welcome home, Minatokoi," replied back in the same manner. She puts one hand on one of her husband's interlocked arms and rubs his forearm with her thumb. "How was your day?" she inquires about her husband's day. This was one of the few times they could sit down and enjoy each other's company. She missed their teenage years when they had no responsibilities. Minato gives her a kiss on the cheek before answering, besides sending Team 7 on that mission. It was all quiet. He takes a seat next to her and reaches out a hand for her to take. She obliges him and takes his hand. The two lovebirds enjoyed each other's affection and presence. Kushina's face scrunched at the mention of Naruto's team leaving the village. "I still don't feel comfortable letting him leave alone out there," Kushina makes her feelings known. "And I'm not happy you did that without telling me." Minato's lips turned to a slight frown. He knew it would be eating her that her son was out of the village without them nearby. You know why I couldn't tell you, Minato countered. I don't ask any other parent if I can send their children on missions, and I have to be neutral. Kushina nodded her head in understanding. Her husband had a difficult job and made difficult choices. I still don't have to like it, Kushina states, dropping the subject. Minato hated making his wife upset. However, that was what marriage was. The duo wouldn't agree on every little thing, which was okay. They talked about it, and each said their piece about it, and that would be it. No grudges were held, and no spite from either of them. Wanting to change the subject, he taps the notepad. What are you working on? He tries to steal a glance from the side. Just a schedule for everything. You know, training schedules, mission schedules, Akane's schedule, and your schedule. Kushina rounds off the list. Just to keep my sanity. Her reason was sound. She pushes over the paper, and Minato scans over it. It was a mishmash of color-coordinated time slots, a map of arrows, and a few drawings to brighten up. It's, unique, he said, perplexed. He'd seen many things come across his desk, and this was one of the most asinine things he'd ever seen. He slides it back to her and lets her finish. I have a mission for you and the kids tomorrow. One that gonna take you outside the village for a while, Minato reveals to his wife. She snaps to say something, but he raises a hand and calms his wife. I'll take care of Akane-kan, he promises. Then he looked at the schedule and wondered if Shizune would be free for a while. How was your day? Minato asks Kushina. Kushina stops writing, leans back in her chair, and blows a heavy breath. It was good. Just had to deal with those two idiot boys of ours, she exasperates. Those two boys played the role of the protective brothers, nearly ruining her plan. Those two are adorable together. Minato sat back and became worried. What happened? If the two of them were fighting again, there'd be hell to pay. Menma could forget his mission, and Naruto would be stuck in the village until the Chunin exams. Kushina waved the man off. No, they almost hurt Akane-kan's friend. Minato raised an eyebrow. Who's her friend? He asks in confusion. What could a little girl do to upset his boys? Kushina smiles warmly and exclaims the name like it is obvious. Konohamarukan. He was such a good boy and a polite young man. The perfect one for her flowery youngest daughter. Minato goes stiff, and his hair shadows his eyes. Like his son's, a dark aura radiates off him. He eerily stands up and makes his way toward the front door. Where are you going? Kushina calls out. Alarmed by the sudden change in her husband. Going to finish what my boys started and skin a monkey, Minato says, low and spooky. He pulls a Hiraition kunai out of his holster and holds it to his face. The blade shines, ready to spill some blood. A frying pan makes contact with the back of Minato's head. Freeze, mister. Kushina snarls. You leave Konohamarukan alone. Her hair swished behind her like the tails of an angry animal. But, Tenshi, Minato whined. All he wanted was to scare off the boy from being with his baby girl. Maybe maim him to get his point across. He was hanging out with his princess. Don't Tenshi me. Kushina shouts at her husband. She would not be distracted by his attempt to be cute. It wouldn't work. It definitely wouldn't work. Camp. After making a camp for the night, the team and client found a clearing with decent cover and a good vantage point to scan the surroundings. Kakashi ushered the bridge builder to his tent. The man had sampled his gourd of alcohol early and was already beginning to nod off before Kakashi put him in the tent. He sits on one side of the fire, and the three teens sit on the opposite side. Kakashi looks his team over and says, I'm proud of all of you for fighting those shinobi and wanting to continue the mission. His students smile at one another and laugh at the praise. However, Kakashi's harsh tone stops the cheers. You all made critical mistakes. Sharp, penetrating eyes land on Sasuke first. Never hold back in a fight. Sasuke. That's how you get killed. Kakashi's words come out blunt and sharp. There was no sugarcoating it. You could have activated the Sharingan and ended the fight in a heartbeat. Sasuke wasn't rattled by the man's words. His mother would have had a harsher critique if she had been here. Next was Naruto, and Kakashi didn't ease up on the harsh words. Naruto, you need to get better control of your anger. You went on the attack and left both the client and your team. Kakashi didn't mince words. The teen was blinded by his rage and wouldn't have known if his team needed help or if they had ended up in the crossfire. Naruto scoffed and looked away. It all turned out fine. Didn't it? Naruto rebuttals. We may not get that lucky, Kakashi pressed. He leaned forward, his lone eye burying into the teen. Anger and aggression are fine, but only when channeled properly. Kakashi's words seep with disappointment. You could get someone killed, Naruto. Kakashi tries to pull at Naruto's heart. His teammates looked at him with sympathy and wondered if the teen would consider their sensei's words. Naruto snaps and stands up swiftly. I only acted like that because I thought you were dead. Naruto raged. The man notices the fire twist and dances more violently, reacting to the black-haired Uzumaki Namikaze. Naruto storms off with a growl, going into the trees. Sakura looks at her friend woefully. She knew his anger got the best of him, and if she was being honest with herself, it scared her. She had never seen the level of aggression he displayed, ever. She saw him attack a man and nearly kill him when he was defenseless. She was staring so intently at the spot where he disappeared she almost missed Kakashi calling out to her. Sakura. Sakura snaps her attention to him. Sorry, sensei, she says sheepishly. Sasuke looks sympathetically at her. He hated to see Narumi like that. Kakashi ignored her apology and got right down to his critiquing. While you froze, you did manage to come to Sasuke's aid when he needed it most. Kakashi praises the girl. The smile she gained didn't last. But you could have ended it if you threw it directly at the assassin, Kakashi lectured. She could have easily hit Meizu with kunai and let the explosion take care of the rest. As she stares into the fire, Sakura feels a pit in her stomach. I didn't want to kill him, Sakura mumbles. She was training to be a medic and a doctor. She wasn't about to carelessly take a life. It stands against everything she is being taught. Tsunade had taught her that, words echoing in her head, life is the job of a medic, Sakura. We are trained to prolong and heal it as much as possible. Even if we are shinobi, we are healers first. That was the speech she got when she first started training under the woman. It has stuck with her ever since. Kakashi rubs the back of his head after hearing his female student's words. He hated to be the one to do this, but he wanted to make sure she didn't die out here, like Rin. You have a good heart, Sakura. But a shinobi can't have a good heart. Kakashi's melancholy tone causes the lone female to drop her head. Having said his piece, he stands up, saying, we'll rotate every 2 hours. Decide the order amongst yourselves. I'll take the last watch. Kakashi heads to his tent and disappears inside. Sakura and Sasuke sat in silence, listening to a mixture of the fire and the sounds of the forest. Bugs sang, and birds hooted in the dark. Sakura looked at her other teammate, taking a stick and poking the fire. Don't you think that was a little harsh? Sakura blurts out. She and Sasuke never really communicated or had a relationship outside of being teammates. The boy was courteous but never made an attempt to be anything closer. Sasuke is looking into the fire before he gives her a sideways glance. He's just making sure we understand the situation, he answers plainly. Sasuke could accept what Kakashi said. Why couldn't she? Is that what a good shinobi does? Follow orders. We're here to do a job, don't go making this personal. Sakura looks disappointingly at the boy. How can I not make it personal? Sakura demands. She stands up and walks towards the forest. Where are you going? Sasuke calls out. Without looking back, she calls over her shoulder, to go find Naruto. The edge of her words left no room for arguing. Sasuke watches her vanish into the trees. Guess I'll take the first watch, Sasuke says to himself. He stands up and jumps into the trees. The forest was quiet, all insects and birds were silent, fearing the presence of the angry predator. It was easy to find where Naruto went. She follows the scorched dirt and burnt bark on trees. She finds him leaning on a tree with his right hand. The moonlight trickles through the branches of the trees and shines on Naruto. Sakura is about to move towards him when his fist suddenly grows flames, and he tears a fist-sized hole through the side of the tree. Leaves from the top of it, but the tree stood tall even with the new gaping wound. Sakura recoils and lets out a shriek. Naruto whips around to the noise. His face is a horrifying contortion of rage. His teeth are bared, his brow scrunched, and his eyes are slit. Seeing his frightened teammate, Naruto takes a deep inhale before exhaling, letting out an enormous billow of smoke. Sorry, he makes an apology. He moves deeper into the forest, and Sakura follows right behind him. Hey! Wait! Sakura calls after the teen. Sakura eventually comes to a halt next to Naruto at the cliff's edge. Down below, Sakura sees a sea of trees, making it impossible to see the ground. What are you doing? She's puzzled at his action and the location. Calming myself, Naruto answers. And watching. Watching what? Questions Sakura. Finding nothing but trees to look at. Naruto points his finger up to the sky, up there. Sakura looks up. Looking at the sky took her breath away. Never before had she seen the sky so clear and full of stars. She lets out a sound of awe, admiring the view. I've never seen so many stars out before, she says. She had seen stars before, but not this quantity. The stars were like diamonds, twinkling and shining in the black sky. Imagine being able to see that every night, Naruto casually says, not expecting an answer. I want to be just like them. Naruto admires the scene in front of him, glancing between the stars as they twinkle. Sakura takes a cautious step next to him. She didn't want to intrude on him or seem pushy, but she felt the desire to see what he saw. What do you mean? Sakura presses, not understanding. I want to leave my mark on the world. But you already have, Sakura counters. Your father is a Hokage, your mother is a renowned Shino. Naruto shakes his head and stops the girl by interrupting, no, I want to leave my own mark. Not be a part of my parents, siblings, or clan's mark. Naruto reaches out a hand acting like he would grasp a star right out of the sky. I want to explore this world, become the strongest person ever to walk it, and make my friend proud. He looks at his palm, almost expecting a star to be there. Sakura found a deep respect for Naruto's wishes. He wanted to stand on his own 2 feet, not his parents' shoulders. That's admirable, she says in wonder. She continues to stare at the sky with him. Arbitrary, she moves in close to him and leans her head on his shoulder. How do you want to leave your mark? Naruto questions the girl, still staring at the sky. Sakura remains silent. She didn't have an answer for the boy. She puts her head down in embarrassment. I don't know, she responds, her voice low and sad. She didn't have a reason for being a shinobi or what she was going to do to leave a mark on the world. She felt like crying. Naruto bumps her with his elbow, making the girl look at him. With a bright smile and cheery tone says, don't worry, we'll figure that out too. His infectious smile rubs off on her. Like that, he took away all her fears, worries, and doubts. The moonlight casts over them, concealing their faces in shadow on one side and shining bright on the other. The two stare into each other's eyes. Okay, Sakura says, full of confidence. She places her hands behind her back and begins walking towards the camp with a pep in her step. Come on. We need to get back so we can sleep before we have to take watch. Naruto grins a toothy grin and follows right behind him. Hokage's office. Minato found one of Kakashi's ninken waiting for him in his office, along with 2 shinobi from Kirigakure no Sato. The ninken, Uhei, if Minato remembered correctly, resembled a greyhound with auburn-colored fur. The fur is white on the underside and snout. He also wears bandages around his neck, head, and left front paw. The Konoha Hitayat dangled proudly on its neck with a blue vest that all of Kakashi's ninken wore. A Henoheno Mahiji seal was proudly displayed on the back of the vest. The ninken drops the scroll and gives an urgent bark. Minato's blood boiled as he just dismissed the ninken. When that silver-haired teen gets back, his books are as good as firewood, the village leader seethes. He was now dealing with a lying client and a disobeying team leader that wasn't following protocol. Not only that, but they encountered 2 crank missing nin and had to pay out the team for their capture. Kakashi would regret ever telling him where he hid his precious book collection. Just you wait, Kakashi, Minato thought as plan after plan formed in his mind. The door to his office opens, and he closes the scroll before tossing it in a drawer. As expected, his wife and kids come in. He found Kushina to be irresistible in her uniform. It was this sort of thinking that led to the triplets being conceived. Then he looks on in pride at the 2 Jinchuriki. They both had come so far, and now was a true test for them. They would do him proud. Kushina then gave a mock salute as she jested, reporting for duty, Hokage-kun. She knew what he was thinking too. Minato then pulls a job request from another drawer before placing it on his desk. Before you partake in this mission, I have one question for you all. His serious tone made the teen stiffen. Narumi swallows a lump in her throat. A bead of sweat rolls down the side of Menma's face. Kushina playing a strand of her hair. They were ready. How do you feel about Funheim films? Minato questions the team, already knowing the reaction he would get from his daughter. Narumi couldn't contain her excitement. I love Funheim. Stars shine in her eyes as she gains a starstruck expression. Menma raised an eyebrow, not understanding why the question was necessary. Kushina mimics her youngest son's expression. What's that go to do with anything? Minato then slides the paper over for his wife to read. You're going to be protecting her. The actress that plays Funheim, Fujike's Yuki. Kushina reads through the request and immediately opens her mouth to protest, but a quick glance from Minato silences her. That is your mission. Good luck, Minato finishes. Menma groans when his head droops forwards. I gotta protect a spoiled actress. Great. Menma goes to leave. He is disappointed with the mission. His father made it sound so much better. Disappointment soured the teen's mood. Hot on his tail is Narumi, cheering. I gonna see if she'll autograph my poster. The door slammed behind his rambunctious daughter. At least she was happy. With the 2 children gone, Kushina finally said, it's not just a simple protection mission. Is it? Kushina had read through the request and noticed there was a missing page to the request. Minato smiles at being caught. Can't get anything by you, Kushikin. He retrieves the rest of the request and gives it to his wife. Scanning it thoroughly, Kushina gasps. You can't be serious, Minato. She was not pleased with her husband's idea of a joke. She glares at the man. Minato leans forward and meets his wife's angry expression with a neutral one. I am deadly serious. This would be good practice for them, Minato explains. This mission was critical to Konoha. Who else but his children should undertake this mission? Kushina tsks at her husband's arrogance. We're talking about overthrowing a dictator, Minato. Kushina argues. The suddenness of this didn't sit well with the mother. She had prepared the two of them the best she could. However, assassinating a dictator was not something she prepared them for. And putting the rightful ruler back on the throne. Did you think of that? Minato snaps back. His unforgiving tone rattles his wife. Seeing he upset her, he takes a deep breath to calm the fire in his lungs. I'm sorry, but this isn't up for debate. But Kushina tries to oppose her husband. Minato cuts her off. I'm done arguing about this, Kushina. His words are calm and even. He wasn't a husband anymore. Now, he was the leader of a shinobi village. He needed something of great importance done and chose his best option to get it done. I am not asking you. I'm ordering you, Minato said with finality. Kushina stiffens at the emotionless tone her husband uses. Help them succeed in this mission, the Hokage begs his wife to see that she would be there every step of the way. Kushina shows no emotion for several seconds, just staring her husband in the eye. Looking for any form of worry for her and the children. She found none. At once, Hokage-sama, Kushina says professionally, but Minato could hear the bitterness. The word stung. She gives a menial bow before she storms off, slamming the door behind her. Minato leans back in his chair and turns to look out the window. The hidden Umbu in the room did not see the few tears that fell from their leader's eyes. This job sucks sometimes. He wipes the tears and gets back to work. Ocean. It was humid in the morning. The mixture of hot air and cool water from the sea caused a fog to start forming. When they arrived at the destination that Tazuna guided them to, a man in a boat was waiting for them. Tazuna approaches the man and shakes his hand before telling the team to pile in on the small boat. Actually, it would be an insult to call a boat. It was a small dinghy at best, with just enough space to fit everyone. The dinghy, while small, did have a motor, but the man took the time to paddle with an oar. Why are you paddling? Asks the teen, a bit too loud. The boatman pulls his oar from the water. Quite. You baka, the boatman hisses. His eyes scan the water to see if there are any disturbances. Seeing none, he begins paddling again. Gato's men patrol these waters. We'll be sitting ducks in the water. So keep it down, the boatman growls through clenched teeth. Everyone took that as their cue to be quiet. The boat ride became slow and tedious again. Then they saw it, like a monster breaching the fog. Tazuna's an incomplete bridge. Sasuke is in awe of the bridge. That's impressive. Tazuna puffs his chest out with pride as he gloats. Yeah, it's a beaut, isn't it? It was almost finished. He just needed another week or two to finally finish it. Sakura looked at the incomplete bridge and held the same awe as Sasuke. However, she had a burning question for the client: why do you even need a bridge? All eyes turned to the pinkette. Couldn't you use boats to bring goods and trade? It is a valid question, and all eyes turn back to the bridge builder. Tazuna takes a deep breath and gathers his thoughts. We need the bridge in order to bring goods and trade in without increasing the prices. Bringing things in by boat would cost more and hike up the price of everything. He looks out into the fog. Gato would either sink or steal anything that came by sea. The bridge will not take tolls and will allow traders to come in to sell their goods for a fair price. He nods his head, assuring that was the plan for the bridge when it is finished. What's stopping Gato from hiring shinobi to tear it down? Naruto inquires. The bridge was just stone and some form of adhesive. All it would take was one well-placed jutsu to make the thing crumble into the ocean. Kakashi is impressed by the question. That did raise some questions. It would save the man all this hassle. Tazuna shrugs disinterestedly at the question. I don't know. Maybe he wants us to get all this hope before he destroys it. Maybe he wants me dead first, so he can make an example out of me, Tazuna says bitterly. His fists clench. Memories of a young man nailed to a cross on top of a pyre. The little imp of a man laughs before the wood ignites. Don't worry, we'll make sure that doesn't happen, Naruto promises and smiles. He places his left hand on his right bicep while he flexes. Something in the boy's tone told the man he would keep his word. Tazuna pulls his hat over his eyes. Thanks, Gaki, the man's somber tone is missed by the group. The rest of the trip was in silence. Nami no Kuni foggy forest. The team at a shore near a forest, the mist and fog made it hard to see deeper than 15 feet in front of you. Team 7 scanned the tree line to make sure there was no ambush. Tazuna thanks the man for the use of his boat. Thank you for taking such a risk, Tazuna states. The man shook his head. Thank me by finishing that bridge, the boatman answers. He then gets his boat and starts his engine. The man and his boat disappear into the fog. Kakashi calls out to the bridge builder, how far away are we from your home? He didn't like staying out in the open for too long. The quicker they were home, the faster everyone would be safe. Tazuna answers the team leader, about a 5-mile walk from here. Kakashi nods, alright, stay in the center of us. Then gives an order to the 3 genin, you 3, keep a close eye on the surrounding area. They hadn't encountered anyone since the 2 brothers. They'll send a jonin this time around. Kakashi knows that this would be the team's most challenging fight. He just hopes that he can keep everyone alive. Kakashi takes the front, Naruto guards the right, and Sasuke the left as Sakura protects the rear of the group. The fog lightens up as they go further and further into the forest. Their path is a long dirt road with trees on both sides. There was a lake coming up on their left. It would have been an excellent adventure through the woods if they weren't protecting their client from death. Naruto didn't like it. It's the morning, but there isn't even a bug chirping. Something's up, Naruto thought. He sniffs the air and gets a whiff of medicine and juniper. The scent came from a small group of bushes to his right. Not on my watch, Naruto thinks to himself. Naruto calmly walks a few more feet before dashing to the bushes. Naruto, what are you doing? Sakura calls out, confused by the action. Naruto ignores her, and just before he makes it to the bushes, a new scent takes the place of the old one. He dives into the bushes. Team 7 put their guard. Sakura positions herself in front of Tazuna, a kunai in her hand. Kakashi lazily lifts his hands out of his pocket. He learned so far to trust Naruto's instincts. Naruto bursts from the top of the bushes holding a white rabbit by its ears. The rabbit whines and kicks in an attempt to get away. This little thing had some spirit, that's for sure. Naruto. What the hell? It's just a rabbit. Sasuke berates Naruto. He's scared half to death just to get a rabbit. Naruto ignores the Uchiha and gives the rabbit a scrutinizing glare. This isn't right, Naruto comments about the rabbit. A glance at Kakashi and, from his expression, tells Naruto Kakashi is thinking the same thing. What do you mean? Sasuke asks, aggravated that Naruto ignores him. Naruto continues to stare at the white ball of fluff. It's spring. Its coat should be brown, not white. This thing was raised indoors as a pet, Naruto summarizes. The tension in the air grew thick. Suddenly there is swooshing sound off in the distance. Naruto and Kakashi narrow their eyes at the sound as the swooshing gets louder and louder. Hit the dirt. Kakashi orders as he dives into the dirt. Naruto ducks while cradling the rabbit into his chest. Sasuke dives to the ground just in time to see a giant blade fly over. Sakura tackles Tazuna to the ground and uses her body to cover his. The team and client look up in time to see the giant blade wedge into a tree's bark and a man standing on its handle. The thing was a large broadsword, as tall as a full-grown man, shaped like a butcher knife. The blade has 2 cutouts, a circle close to the top and a semicircular one nearer to the handle, the former of which aptly defines the sword's purpose of decapitation. Then in a blur, a man appears on the sword's handle. The man is tall and noticeably muscular with light grayish skin, short spiky black hair, dark brown eyes, and small eyebrows. He wears bandages like a mask over the bottom half of his face. His hitayat is sideways on his head, the symbol for Kirigakure no Sato proudly displayed on it. The man is shirtless, with his chest only covered by a belt which was the holder for his sword. Baggy pants with the striped pattern typical of Kirigakure are on his legs, with mimetic wrist warmers extending up to his elbows, with matching leg warmers. The man looks over his shoulder and down at Team 7. So this is what passes for shinobi nowadays, the man regarded the teens with disdain. Hand over the bridge builder, and maybe I'll let you all leave here with your lives, the man offers. Kakashi gets up and stares at the man. He knew who this man was from his days in Umbu. Momochi Zabuza. The Kirigakure no Kijin himself and former member of the Kiri no Shinobigatana Shishininshu, Kakashi addresses the man by his monikers. Zabuza's eyes land on Kakashi and Zabuza's smile nearly split the bandages. Well, well. If it isn't Sharingan no Kakashi. Konoha has to you babysitting a bunch of brats nowadays. Zabuza mocks Kakashi. Zabuza had heard of Kakashi during his time as an Umbu. The man holds as much respect as he does. Zabuza and his sword disappear in a blur before reappearing further up the path. This might be fun, after all, Zabuza says. Sharingan. Sasuke ponders. Why did his sensei have a moniker with Sharingan in it? He knew Kakashi had no relation to the Uchiha. Kakashi drops his pack to the dirt before calling to his team, all of you stand back and protect Tazuna. I'll take care of this. He goes to pull his hitayat up from over his left eye. Naruto steps up and protests, now wait, Kakashini-ai. I'm not going to let you fight that guy by yourself. Naruto didn't want to admit it, but he looked forward to fighting someone strong. He can tell from one look at this Zabuza guy that he was strong. Stronger than the two they fought before. Zabuza's eyes land on the black-haired Uzumaki Namikaze. You're out of your league, runt, Zabuza goaded the boy. If he got the teen to rush in recklessly, Zabuza could kill him quickly. Then it would be easier to pick apart the rest of the team. Naruto stares the man down and throws an insult, what was that, you eyebrowless freak? He took a step forward, ready to pounce. Kakashi brings the teen back to his senses before it is too late. Naruto. The boy whips his head in the direction of his sensei. Stand down. This isn't a fight you can win. Kakashi hoped the boy would listen this time around. But Naruto tries to protest. This was a real fight, and his blood was singing at the opportunity to face such a challenge. Kakashi puts an end to his students protesting, I can't fight him and protect you at the same time. Kakashi looks over his shoulder, giving the teen an assuring glance. Do as I say. Protect Tazuna and the others, Kakashi's words receive a nod from the boy, but he doesn't move. At a glance, he could see Sakura fidgeting with a kunai in her hand. The girl's nervousness was plain on her face. Come on. Sasuke puts a hand on Naruto's shoulder and guides the boy back to his post. Bitter that he couldn't be of help, he curses under his breath, damn it. However, he could give a word of encouragement. You better not die, he shouted before returning to the bridge builder. Kakashi breathes a sigh of relief before turning back to the waiting Kiri shinobi. You didn't attack while I was dealing with my subordinate. Why? Kakashi asks out of curiosity. Zabuza lets out a dark chuckle. Where's the fun in that? I want you to hear all those kids scream and cry. After that, then. Zabuza brings both his arms up. The left arm is up over his and his right hand coming up to his face. Both hands display the tiger symbol. You have my permission to die. The air became thick with fog and chakra. The teens all felt the pressure rise in the atmosphere. Kirigakure no Jutsu. Zabuza's words echo eerily as the mist shallows him and the forest. Kakashi pulls up his Hitayat and reveals his Sharingan left eye. It was the first time the team had seen it. The scar running down his left eye makes Sakura gasp. Kakashi pulls a kunai out of its holster in a reverse grip. You three. Triangle formation around Tazuna, now. Kakashi commands. The three did as their leader commanded. The three teens kept their guard up. Sasuke and Sakura drew kunai while Naruto raised his fists up to guard. The forest became quiet, save for the occasional breeze rustling the leaves. Naruto's pulse quickened, and his eyes danced with excitement. He couldn't smell the man and couldn't hear him either. It was like he became the mist itself. The hunt thrilled him. Kakashi tenses as he gives commands to his team. All of you are to stick together with the client. This Momochi Zabuza we're dealing with. The man was an umbu for Kirigakure no Sato. He is an expert in assassinations, Kakashi speaks as he eyes the trees through the thick mist. He's a master of the Sarento Kiringu. Kakashi's words lingered deadly in the air. Suddenly Zabuza's voice echoed through the forest, 8 points, larynx, spine, lungs, liver, jugular, subclavian artery, kidneys, heart. The man's cold voice and the pressure the man was exuding. The killing intent that washes over the three makes them grasp how serious it is. Tazuna shook like a leaf in a hurricane. Sakura feels the air leave her lungs and finds it hard to catch her breath. Am I going to die? She questions herself. She wasn't ready for this. She should have voted to go back to the village. She would hang up her Hitayat. She needed to run. The other two couldn't see him, but Naruto's face broke into a manic grin. His pupils turned to slits. This is what shinobi life was all about. I want to fight him. I want to see which one of us is stronger. Naruto waited for his opponent to make the first move. Once he appeared again, Naruto would attack. No matter what. Sasuke felt his throat tighten. His mind went back to that night all those years ago. It felt just like this. Despair and death loomed over him. Even though he now knew Itachi had no intention of killing him, he still felt the fear from that night. He started to hyperventilate. This is too much, the thought raced in his head. A cold sweat spreads on his body, making him shake. Kakashi notices his students struggling to keep their composure. To counteract Zabuza, he flexes his own power and killing intent, making the mist thin slightly. The team and bridge build felt the edge get taken off. All of you, calm down. Kakashi's calm tone gets everyone's attention. He looks over his shoulder with a smile. I promise. I will protect you with my life. The confidence in his voice helped the teen relax. I wouldn't be so sure of that, Kakashi. Zabuza's words came from nowhere before he appeared crouched in the middle of the group. All the teens' eyes widen as they see the man break through their guard so effortlessly. His hand was already on his sword as he spun to decapitate Tazuna. Sakura quickly pulls Tazuna down with her to the ground again. The boys act fast as Sasuke goes high and Naruto aims low. Sasuke jumps and raises a kunai to stab Zabuza in the skull. Naruto lashes a sidekick to his chest, a predatory grin threatening to split his face. Zabuza catches the Uchiha's wrist before throwing Sasuke aside into the dirt. Zabuza brings his sword up to block Naruto's kick, and the contact makes Zabuza grunt in surprise. The punk had a hell of a kick. Kakashi appears beside Zabuza and drives a kunai home between his ribs. It's over, Kakashi says firmly. His victory didn't last as a voice caused his eyes to go wide. For you maybe, Hatake. Zabuza says behind him. The Zabuza in front of Kakashi bursts into water. Mizu Bunshin no Jutsu. Zabuza slashes his sword and splits Kakashi in half. Now, onto the runts, Zabuza gloats until he feels a kunai pressed to his throat. Kakashi's Sharingan eye spun as he threatened the assassin, "You won't touch them." He had already lost his first team. He wouldn't lose his new team. The teens and client look on with smiles. Zabuza grips the blade of the kunai with his free hand. "You shouldn't get in close with me, Hataki." Zabuza mocks the silver-haired man. Kakashi was confused by Zabuza's taunt. "Maybe you shouldn't have grabbed my blade." Kakashi was a man of pride too, but he would never grab a blade with his bare hands, even with chakra. "You might end up losing some fingers." Kakashi's rebuttal dies as he tries to pull his kunai but finds it stuck like it was in a vice. Kakashi's eyes widen as he understands his predicament. Zabuza smirks, "I'm proud of my reflex, and all the calluses on my hands from sword training make it tough to cut through my palm." Zabuza pulls the jonin forward and then plants a kick in the man's chest. As Kakashi sails back, he throws his kunai at the assassin. Zabuza uses his sword and bats the kunai aside. Kakashi plants his feet firmly in the ground and skids to a stop. He flashes through several hand signs before letting out a jutsu. Katan, Gokakyu no Jutsu. A fireball blazes in Zabuza's direction, but the man grasps his sword, spins, and whips his sword around in a single slash, blowing out the fireball. Through the dissipating flames, two kunai with explosive tags race toward Zabuza. Zabuza disappears with a shunshin before the bombs detonate. The explosion rocks the area and blasts away some of the mist. Zabuza reappears near the lake, scowling. "Is that all you can do?" gripes Zabuza. So far, Kakashi had disappointed Zabuza. For a man with such a reputation was putting him to sleep. Zabuza recedes into the mist once more. It was time to finish it. Kakashi puts his guard up and waits for the incoming attack. He doesn't have to wait long as the sound of a blade cutting through the air makes him duck. Kakashi lashes a kick out at Zabuza's knee. The attack connects, making Zabuza grunt in pain. The Kiri shinobi slashes downward at the prone Konoha shinobi. Kakashi rolls out of the way and throws two shurikens toward his enemy's eyes. Zabuza moves his head out of the way, and the shuriken sails into the mist. Zabuza slams the sword down, and Kakashi tucks his legs in as it is embedded into the ground. Kakashi kicks off the flat of the blade. Zabuza slashes at Kakashi as he skids across the ground. Kakashi flips backward to get on his feet and quickly advances on Zabuza. Zabuza brings down his sword in a chopping motion. Dodges to the side and slams a fist into Zabuza's head. Zabuza ignores the pain and smashes the flat of his blade into Kakashi. Kakashi slams into the dirt but rolls to his feet. He takes a second to take a breath, which almost proves to be costly. Zabuza had just finished a set of hand signs. Suetun, Hado. A high-pressure geyser of water escapes from Zabuza's mouth. The water cuts into the dirt like a fine blade. Kakashi acts fast and flashes through hand signs. Doton, Doriahiki. Kakashi slams his hands down, and his mud wall with dog faces come up from the ground. Kakashi is hidden behind the wall, and Zabuza aims his water jutsu at it. The wall is sliced through like paper. However, Kakashi is not behind the rubble. Zabuza cuts off his jutsu. He stands idly by as he waits for Kakashi to appear. He lashes a hand out and seems to snatch Kakashi out of thin air. Kakashi is held in the air by the stronger and taller man. Kakashi gags slightly for air as Zabuza's grip tightens. "This is the end, Kakashi," Zabuza speaks ominously. He reaches for his sword when Kakashi swings his leg up to the side of Zabuza's head. Zabuza is unmoved as he pushes against the kick with his head. "Did you think I would, ah?" Zabuza lets out a yell as a kick digs into his crotch. Kakashi had played dirty. He glares before chucking Kakashi into a tree. Kakashi grunts from the impact before sliding down it to his feet. He feels a bit of pride seeing Zabuza cradle the pain in his testicles. Re-energized, Kakashi pulls 2 more kunai out and spins them around his fingers before holding them in a reverse grip. Zabuza hefts his sword off his shoulder, grips it with 2 hands, and levels it at the Kakashi. The 2 charge into a might clash. The 2 go back and forth. One would attack, and one would block. One would swipe, and the other would dodge. One would chop, and the other would parry the blow. Another onslaught led to another redirection. The team watches the dance of death. Everyone finds it hard to believe that their usual relaxed and mild-mannered teacher is now in a fight to the death. Is this what we can be like? Sakura asks out loud. She couldn't imagine being able to hold a candle to her sensei. Let alone be more the speck of dust to Tsunade. Sasuke's wide-eyed expression and quivering hands make it apparent he is frightened. This guy had Itachi as a subordinate? Sasuke thought in disbelief. If Itachi could do half the things he was watching Kakashi do, he would have a tough time bringing him home. Kakashi was holding back in our fight. He owes me a real fight. Naruto grits his teeth. He wants to get in there and fight. His blood demanded it from him. It took all his willpower to not jump in. He wanted to be better than what Kakashi thought of him. Kakashi guards against a strong slash coming toward his left. He ducks under it with a spin and jumps before he brings a kick down on Zabuza's head. Zabuza takes the blow with a grumble of pain and spits blood through the bandages. Zabuza, however, had an advantage now. Fighting through the days, he swings his sword like a bat. The flat side of the blade slams the Konoha Jonin. Kakashi yells in pain as he flies into the nearby lake. Kakashi submerges into the water before quickly pulling himself to the surface with his chakra. He coughs up some water he has inhaled and takes notice of the water. This water is heavy with chakra, he panics. He'd fallen into a trap. Zabuza appears next to him and, with a sneer, crowed, "It's over, Kakashi." Zabuza flashes through hand signs before slamming his hand into the water. Suiro no Jutsu. Water siphons up from the lake in a torrent, water spraying every which way. The torrent engulfs Kakashi in a small sphere. The prison now had a prisoner. The team watched the whole thing unfold in horror. With his hand connected to the sphere, Zabuza sneers at his captured prey. "The oldest trick in the book, and you fell for it, Kakashi." Zabuza gloats at his victory. Zabuza basks in the glare from Kakashi's Sharingan before looking over at Team 7. "I made a promise to you, Kakashi." Zabuza's reminder is laced with maliciousness. "I'm going kill those Gakis." Nice. And slow. He raises his free arm and performs a jutsu. Mizu Bunshin no Jutsu. A shape of a head breaks from the surface of the water. Following the head, the body with arms and legs comes out. The plain human-shaped water body mutates, distorts, and expands until it begins more the body takes shape. Then features such as skin color, hair, and clothing manifest until it is an identical clone of Zabuza. What the hell? Naruto yells out in an angry tone. He steps forward and smacks his fist into his opposite palm. "Let go of Kakashini. Now." Naruto demands. Zabuza chuckles at the team. The arrogant brat needed to be brought down a couple pegs. "While I can't move away from my Suiro no Jutsu without it disappearing, I'm positive my Mizu Bunshin will be plenty strong enough to deal with some punks." Zabuza challenges the teens. After he killed them, nothing could stop him from killing the bridge builder. After that, well, he had bigger fish to fry. He would be out from under the thumb of the crime boss. Naruto cracks his knuckles and makes an unsettling smile. "You're gonna choke on your own teeth when I'm done." Naruto's tone made the words sound like a promise. He walks forward, ready to help his brother escape. Sakura looked at her friend's back like he was mad. This man just took down a Jonin. What hope did they have? "We need to leave. Right now." Sakura thinks to herself. Tsunade had explained some of the protocols for missions. One of them stated, when an enemy had captured an ally, abandon them and continue with the mission. She wasn't a coward and didn't want to leave her sensei, but what hope did they have in defeating such a man? They needed to get Tazuna out of here. Sasuke thrusts a hand out and stops him. Naruto raises an eyebrow. Sakura gained a hopeful expression until Sasuke walked beside Naruto. We'll take him together, the Uchiha replies. He wanted this just as much as Naruto. Naruto's face morphs into one of annoyance. Just don't get in my way. You idiots. Leave me and get Tazuna outta here. The clone can't go far from the main body. Kakashi scolds the teens. One life lost was better than 5. Naruto beams a smirk in his teacher's direction. No can do, Kakashini. We're not leaving you behind. Naruto calls back as he gives a toothy grin. Kakashi feels his heart hammer in his chest, and a sense of pride washes over them. His stupid but brave team was going to try and save him. Even though the protocol was to abandon him and save the client. Naruto walks forward and calls over his shoulder, Sakura. The pinkette snaps her attention to the impromptu leader. You guard the old man. Naruto then looks over to her with that toothy grin of his. We're counting on you. Naruto's words made her heart jump. He needed her, and even though she was scared and of no use on the battlefield, he asked her to do the important job of guarding their client. Understood, she said with resolve. She would defend the client with her life. She got in front of the man, a kunai in hand, and scanned the trees and bushes for anything. Nodding his head at seeing the fear leave Sakura, Naruto directed his focus back to the water clone. Now, where were we? Naruto asked rhetorically. Zabuza's clone looked at Naruto with amusement. The part where you beg for your life and kill you anyway, Zabuza's clone says. Sasuke rushes the clone first. He pulls 2 kunai out and starts slashing at the clone. The clone uses its sword and counters each swipe with one of his own. Sasuke advanced, trying to land one blow. While Sasuke did all the dashing and running around, the Zabuza clone hadn't moved an inch. Sasuke saw his assault had no effect and activated his Sharingan. Zabuza sees the red eyes from his position on the lake. Oh ho! One of the last Uchiha. Well, Kakashi, you have some interesting brats. Zabuza taunts the man in the prison. Kakashi watches the young boy with unease. Sasuke reads a wide swing coming toward his head and slides underneath the slash. He sees an opening at Zabuza's exposed flank and thrusts his kunai. However, his thrust never makes it. Naruto uses his shoulder to spring forward at the clone. Now's my chance. Naruto yells as he launches a kick. Zabuza's clone puts up his arm to block. It was a mistake. The clone is immediately sent skidding back, and its arm throbs in pain. He didn't get a reprieve. Naruto charges, throwing punches and kicks. While the clone wasn't as strong as the original, it still could use the original's years of experience. The clone weaved and countered to no avail. Naruto reared back his right fist, and flames coated it. Karyu no Tekken. Naruto lashes out, and the clone meets the attack with his sword. Water met fire, and steam exploded outward with an angry hiss. The team covered their eyes, and Zabuza used his free hand to cover his eyes. The steam eventually dissipates, and the hissing ends. Naruto stands with his arms crossed over his chest and a cocky grin on his lips. That all you got? His arrogant tone makes Zabuza growl. Zabuza makes the same sign as before, and another Mizu Bushin forms. This time he pumped a little more chakra into it. This time a single punch wouldn't put it down. Try this on for size, Gaki. Zabuza declares as he orders the clone to charge. Naruto gets ready for the approaching clone. When the clone is within reach, Naruto channels fire in his fist for another attack, but it is not meant to. This time Sasuke puts a hand on Naruto's head, using it as leverage as he smashes a kick across the clone's face. The clone flies into a tree and slides down to the base. Sasuke pushes off Naruto, making the other teen fall face-first into the dirt, and lands nimbly next to his downed teammate. Naruto quickly pulls his head and growls, "What was that for?" His eyes became white, and his teeth became fangs. Sasuke keeps his eyes on the clone as it gets up. "Payback for doing that to me," Sasuke returns. Naruto gets up and wipes the dirt off his face with the back of his wrist. The duo stares down the clone as it stands. Its eyes are wide, wild, and angry. Hefting its blade up towards the teen and growls, "Playtime's over, brats." The clone unleashes a killing intent over the area. The duo shiver, and their breath catches in their throats. The clone disappears in a burst of speed and reappears in front of the two. Sasuke reads it with his Sharingan and puts up his kunai to block. The block meets a strong slash, stronger than the previous clone. Sasuke guard breaks and is exposed for another slash. The clone goes to slash back, but Naruto appears in front of Zabuza and slams his heel into Zabuza's elbow, stopping the attack. Zabuza growls and powers through, sending Naruto sprawling in the air. Sasuke is able to raise his kunai in time to block the heavy blade. Sasuke was sent flying by the strength of the clone. Sasuke hit the ground in a roll and ended up on his back with a moan. Naruto was in front of Zabuza in an instant, ready to attack. Zabuza sends the teen sprawling to the ground from a kick to his chest. Naruto groans as his vision blurs. He makes out a gray shape above him before a foot stomps on his chest. Naruto coughs up some blood, and his vision clears. It does so just in time to see the clone of Zabuza bring down a chop with his sword. "Naruto!" Sakura lets out a blood-chilling scream. "Naruto!" Kakashi screams from his prison as he tries to get out. "Naruto!" Sasuke yells, and the visions of the night of the massacre flash through his mind. A crash of metal rings through the area. All eyes are wide at what just happened. Naruto caught the blade with a clap, keeping it only a mere 2 inches from his face. The clone put its weight forward but struggled. Naruto grits his teeth as he resists, making the sword in his arms tremble. Naruto twists and shifts the blade into the dirt beside him before getting up and retreating away. "You all right?" Sasuke asks, immediately getting to his side, battle ready. Naruto glances at his teammate before eyeing the clone. "Yeah, almost bit it back there," Naruto responds, still on edge. His adrenaline refuses to go down. "Not losing your nerve, are you?" Sasuke mocks. "Never, this is too much fun." Zabuza growls from his position on the lake. These two were making a mockery out of the shinobi life. In his rage, he calls out to the teens, "You think this fun?" The clone reacts to the original's anger and flashes out its sword. It charges and smacks Naruto away first before yanking Sasuke by the throat and slamming him to the ground. The clone aims its sword to pierce the Uchiha, but Naruto kicks him away. "You're just a group of kids playing as shinobi." Zabuza seethes. Naruto counters back, "What the hell do you mean? He'd done all the groveling and bookwork to get where he was. He'd dealt with all the hardships head and powered through. We did all the boring crap to become shinobi just like you." Naruto argues. "Little did he know that Konoha was nothing like Kiri, did you? Kill your entire class?" Zabuza asks simply like he is talking about the weather. The day of mention replays gloriously in his mind. The 3 young shinobi feel their blood run frigid. All had looks of horror and disbelief. "What?" Sakura asks unknowingly aloud for everyone. Never in her wildest dreams could she kill anyone from her village. She couldn't imagine killing Ino, and not to mention she would never kill Naruto. If anything, she would have been the one to die. Kakashi senses the anguish in his team. They are looking for an answer. One that he could provide. There was a rumor years and years ago, his voice draws the genin's attention to their sensei. About boy not even at the right age for the academy went to the year's graduating class and slaughtered them all. Kakashi's grisly words brought everyone to a pause and caused Zabuza's head to go down. It was magnificent, Zabuza says longingly. He raises his head to the sky, remembering his first victim's distant and lifeless eyes. That day was when I first made my mark as a shinobi. Not long after, I became a Kiri no Shinobigatana Shishininshu. Zabuza gloated. At the time, it was his proudest moment. Sasuke couldn't help but revere the swordsman. The man was a monster long before he even became a shinobi. The man showed others that he would kill and maim his way to the top. Nothing would stop him from achieving his goal, and to hell with anyone that stood in his way. To him, they were nothing but ants scurrying in his path. Who gives a shit? Naruto's voice cuts through them. A determined look stares down the missing Nin. You're just a boulder in my path to the top. I will be the strongest in the world. Naruto points at Zabuza with a challenging expression. You'll be my first obstacle to the top. When this is over, you'll be a footnote in my legend. Naruto declares as fire combusts from his hand and shoulder. The flames do not harm him or his jacket but give him a beastly look. Everyone stares at the phenomenon in front of them. Sasuke relaxes, smirking at the black-haired idiot next to him. Sakura stared in awe at her friend. He'd taken the dread from before and burned it all away. Zabuza became uneasy at seeing such fire manipulation. Something like that was beyond Naruto's age, and the scariest part was it looked instinctive to the teen. He needed to end this now. Kakashi watches in amazement. The boy who lacked the drive or motivation to be a shinobi was the one to stand tall and brave the storm. However, Kakashi had many questions that needed to be answered. The power Naruto is displaying was unnatural. Naruto lets out a battle cry as he slams his fists together. A roar generates from the slam before Naruto goes charging in. He leaps in the air as flames dances around his arms, Karyu no Yakugeki. As Naruto comes down, he waves his arm in a circular motion and slams them to the ground. Waves or gusts of fire swish off him and create a devastating path to the clone. Dirt, grass, and rock are scorches in the fire's path. The clone smothers one wave with his sword slashing, but a second blasts him to the ground before the third launches it into the air. Sasuke appears above the clone, his Sharingan spinning. He flashes through his familiar hand signs before unleashing his jutsu. Katan, Gokakyu no Jutsu. The fireball sears its back and sends the clone crashing to earth with a scream. Naruto gets underneath where the fireball would and gets in a deep stance. Naruto concentrates all his magic into his fist. He inhales deeply and closes his eyes. He lets out a slow exhale, and steam dances out of his mouth before disappearing into the air. He snaps his eyes open, his pupils now slit. A flame the size of a huge boulder expands behind him. As the screaming clone descends, Naruto unleashes all he has left and smashes his attack right into the center of the clone's chest. Karyu no Tekken. The impact causes an explosion of fire. The updraft from the blast makes a fire tornado that swirls upward in the sky. Zabuza feels the clone's chakra dissipate. While he was a man that tended to keep his word and honor, he knew when to cut his losses. He could handle Kakashi. He could handle the two genin. After the display of power from Naruto, Zabuza had doubts he could handle both Kakashi and the genin. It seems I need to level the playing field, Zabuza says, turning to Kakashi. The silver-haired man doesn't like the sound of that one bit. I guess I'll just have to settle for the brats watching their sensei die. Zabuza's vicious words were followed by his raising his sword to pierce into the sphere of water. He needed to end this now. Naruto and Sasuke were exhausted. The last attack put Naruto on his ass. Sasuke was gasping for air and sweating heavily while putting his hands on his knees. However, they didn't have time to rest. Their sensei needed them. Naruto gets up to move, but his feet ache and will not let him rise in protest. He looks at Sasuke and sees the same result. Kakashinii. Naruto shouts in anguish. Sensei. Sasuke and Sakura call out. Naruto gets to his feet but stumbles. He needed a boost to get there. Then an idea pops into his head. Sasuke, can you make another fireball? It was just crazy enough that it might work. Why? The Uchiha asks. It wasn't anything that could make it to Zabuza in time. Let alone powerful enough to do any damage. Hit me with it. Naruto says. What? Sasuke questions. Hit me with it. Naruto shouts as he tries to put one foot in front of the other. You're insane. That could kill you. Sasuke protests. Sakura looks bewildered at the teen. You can't. She couldn't imagine what his parent would think. Kakashinii will die if you don't. Naruto continues his slow march. Do it. Sasuke didn't have a better plan. If this was a chance to save his teacher and Naruto was willing to make the sacrifice, then so be it. Flashing through the familiar signs, he activated his jutsu, Katon, Gokakyu no Jutsu. The fireball was no bigger than a small child. The pathetic flame shimmered and went low as it sailed forward. The attack hit Naruto right in the back before engulfing him. Zabuza pauses his killing blow, and witnesses the teen erupt in flames. He lets out an amused chuckle, guess the Gaki couldn't handle it anymore. Seeing the death of someone dear causes many people to do drastic things. He goes back to strike. Sakura moves to help but is grabbed by Tazuna by her harm. Sakura jerks and tugs like an animal in a trap. Let me go. I gotta help him. He'll die, she pleads. She reaches out at the fire. Tazuna struggled with the girl. She was like an ox that refused to listen. He wouldn't be able to hold on much longer. Listen. If that boy wanted it done, he probably had a plan. His words caused the girl to lessen her struggle. Have faith in that boy, Tazuna finishes. Then just like that, all the fight left her. Sakura should have been the first one to have faith. Faith that Naruto would be okay and come back to them all. To her. Naruto felt the fire touch his skin and feels its power. It wasn't much, but it would be enough to get to Zabuza. He lets out a breath before he takes a great inhale. The flames are directed into Naruto's mouth like a funnel. As the fire slowly dies down, the witnesses' eyes grow wide. They saw Naruto just eat fire and not die. Zabuza stops his attack and stares with a mixture of fear and curiosity at the spectacle. It was like a demon from hell emerged to seek death and destruction. When the fire is finally consumed, Naruto feels just enough power for one final attack. He digs his foot into the ground before launching forward with a jump. He sails over the land and reaches the lake like a missile. He flips forward and sticks a leg out in a kick. Karyu no Kajizum. Naruto's foot burst into a dull flame. The attack was right on course. Zabuza didn't know how much power was in the attack from Naruto. He was still trying to process what he just witnessed. The brat had managed to eat a jutsu and gain a power boost. However, he had two options: kill Kakashi and take the attack, which could leave him crippled or dead, or let go of the prison and block the attack and hope to kill the brat before Kakashi regains his bearings. He made a choice. Kakashi drops into the water in shock. Zabuza meets the attack Hiden with his sword. Naruto lets out a battle cry, and Zabuza meets him with one of his own. The two attacks struggle against one another. Zabuza presses harder and starts to win the fight. What he doesn't notice is the flame working against his blade. Naruto's attack loses the last of its energy, but Naruto does enough damage to the sword. The edge where he kicked was now melted. The globs of hot metal fall off the blade and into the cooling water of the lake. Zabuza's anger boils over when he sees the damage done to his legendary sword. He had just been played the fool by a snot-nosed upstart shinobi. He grits his teeth, his muscles tense, a vein pop near his temple, and his eyes become crazed. His blood spikes. Zabuza grabs Naruto by his flameless ankle. He reels the boy in with a sharp tug downwards, making the teen's upper body come up. Zabuza slams an open palm into the teen's throat before squeezing with all his might. "I'll tear the skin from your bones." Zabuza fumed. He tightens his grip, making the teen gag and chokes. Naruto tries to pry the iron-like grip away, but he is completely drained. The corner of Naruto's vision starts to bleed black as his starving lungs burn for air. His resistance weans, and his hands fall limp to his side. One thought races through his mind: I don't want to die here. He hears a voice in the distance, but the words are jumbled in his ears. Zabuza's smile twists with satisfaction as he sees the light leave the teen's eyes. Even though the teen gave him a hard time, he was still a wet behind the ears genin. "That's it, just let it take you," Zabuza said, referring to the darkness. The teen's body gave some final twitches trying to fight off death. Zabuza felt satisfied with the amount of pain the teen was feeling. He was about to flick his wrist to end the teen when a searing pain shot down his back. In his moment of agony, Zabuza drops the teen, and Naruto disappears beneath the surface. Kakashi had made a desperate attack on Zabuza when he surfaced. Seeing the boy cling to life, Kakashi withdrew a kunai and stabbed the knife right into Zabuza's right shoulder blade. The assassin let go of the teen, but now he disappeared beneath the dark water. Narrate, he tries to reach for the boy but is sent sprawling by a backhand from Zabuza. Kakashi manages to keep his footing. "You're gonna pay for that." Kakashi swears. Zabuza reaches to his back and tears the blade from his back. "You should have gone for the kill instead of worrying about the brat." Zabuza lectures. He would have cut through anyone to get to his target. Off to the side, someone dives into the water. Kakashi rushes forward, sending punches and kicks at Zabuza. Zabuza puts his deformed sword on his back and has to meet Kakashi's attacks with just fists and feet. Kakashi spin kicks Zabuza in the chin and follows up with an uppercut to the stomach. Zabuza brings down a blow to Kakashi's skull before slamming a punch to his ribs. Kakashi shoots a kick at Zabuza's ankle, but the assassin shoves the opposing shinobi away. Zabuza launches a strike with his fist, which Kakashi catches, and Zabuza makes the fatal mistake of looking at Kakashi's Sharingan. Zabuza grips Kakashi by his jacket before launching the smaller man away. Kakashi lands, and out of the corner of his eyes, he sees Sasuke pulling water onto the bank. "Good, now I can end this," Kakashi formulates in his head. With that burden off his mind, Kakashi moves his full attention to Zabuza. "Now this ends, Zabuza," Kakashi tells the assassin. Zabuza raises an eyebrow at the remark. "Oh, how so?" He noticed something weird. It was like he heard his words twice. "It's just him and Kakashi on the lake." "What was that Kakashi/what was that Kakashi?" the two said in sync. Zabuza's eyes widen, horrified at what he heard. He wanted to test something out. He ran to the right like he was going to circle Kakashi, and at the exact same time, Kakashi copied his movements. Meanwhile, with Sasuke, he has Naruto draped over his back, and he's making a dash to the medic. "Sakura," he calls out. Sakura calls back, "Over here." From the mist come her two teammates. Seeing the state of the two makes her breath hitch in her throat. "What happened?" she presses Sasuke. "Zabuza." Sasuke put Naruto down on the ground in front of her. "He's been under the water for a couple of minutes. I don't know if he's breathing, Sasuke summarizes for her. Now getting a better look at Naruto, Sasuke saw it was much worse than he first thought. His usual tan skin like the color of snow, and his lips were blue. Sakura's training kicks in. She immediately kneels and puts an ear to his heart. It was still beating, slowly but still beating. Thank Kami. She then put a hand to his nose to see if he was breathing. Is he alright? Tazuna looks over her shoulder. Shush, she scolds her client. She was in the process of saving a life. Shit, he's not breathing. She opens his vest, giving her access to his chest. For a moment, she freezes at the moment, and all the doubt runs through her head. However, takes a second to calm herself with a deep breath. Sakura channels chakra into her hands, and her hands take on a green hue. Shozen Jutsu. She presses her palms to Naruto's chest, and immediately, her jutsu does its job. She uses her chakra to grab a hold of the water in his lungs. She moves her hand up his diaphragm to his throat and then to his mouth. She raises her hand up, and the water comes out with a cough from the team. His lips lost their blue coloring. Sakura shakes from the adrenaline. She takes a breath before putting Naruto's head on her lap. Even though she saved him, he still gave her comfort. Instinctively she runs her fingers through his hair to comfort him and herself. I did it, she says lowly with a smile on her face. She had been able to help her team for once. Sasuke let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. Even though he was reckless, he was glad to see his companion live. Now we leave the rest to Kakashi. Using his Sharingan, he watches the two men copying one another. Whatever Zabuza did, Kakashi copied right with him. Zabuza threw a right cross, and Kakashi followed suit. Zabuza jumps back, and Kakashi copies him. Zabuza was panicking, and he had no solution to his problem. I'm ending this, Kakashi, / I'm ending this, Zabuza. Kakashi and Zabuza say together. Zabuza flashes through hand signs, and Kakashi copies him hand sign for hand sign. The water around the two swirls and kicks up, spraying the two. Two forms rise up from the water, starting to take shape. The men finish and simultaneously say, Suiton, Suryuden no Jutsu, / Suiton, Suryuden no Jutsu. The two men call upon their jutsu. Two towers of water swirl around each other like two dueling serpents. When they reach full height, they stop and head forms on the towers. Two dragon-shaped heads with horns, maws, and glowing red eyes. The two beasts roar at one another before launching to attack. The two are at a standstill, each man pouring chakra into the jutsu to overpower the other. The water dragons bite and thrash against each other. The water from the lake overflows and crashes on the bank in strong waves washing over Team 7 and Tazuna. Luckily, no one is injured worse from the attack. This is unreal. These two are on an entirely different level. They could destroy an entire village by themselves, Sasuke thinks to himself. The level of destructive power those two held was frightening. The two dragons flow into each other until their remains re-enter the lake. The two men, now soaked, stare each other down. Zabuza is exhausted. Between the water dragon and sustaining the mist, he has little to no chakra left. He needed to end this now. How much longer do you think you can copy me? Zabuza goads Kakashi and receives his answer when Kakashi doesn't mimic him. Smirking, Zabuza put the last of his chakra into one more jutsu. He starts to do hand signs, but right before his eyes, Kakashi matches and beats him to the finish. Suiton, Daibakufu no Jutsu. Kakashi shouts, and a vortex of water forms in front of Kakashi before he sets it free onto Zabuza. Zabuza has no time to react. He had never seen what Kakashi had done. The vortex takes him, and he spins and sloshes around in the water that attacks him. The strong currents are like blows from an ox. He stops abruptly as his body is bashed against a tree. He back and ribs crack in protest. Blood from his mouth mixes with the water that flows by him. He is given minor relief when the water level is lower and can take a rejuvenating gulp of air. Pain comes back when several kunai and shuriken pierce his knees, legs, chest, and arms. He is pinned to the tree. Kakashi appears above him on the branch of the tree. Now it's over, Kakashi says coldly. Zabuza looks up weakly and shudders. Can you see the future? Zabuza could only fathom that Kakashi was a demon, just like him. Kakashi pulls another kunai out and grips it tightly. Your future is death, Kakashi states. Before he can make good on his word, 2 senbon are tossed into the ex-Kiri shinobi's neck. The man goes limp while still attached to the tree. Thank you, Konoha shinobi, a cold, low feminine voice comes from above Kakashi. Kakashi looks up in surprise, having not noticed the stranger's presence until now. Naruto opens his eyes slowly. Before he shut his eyes, he had last seen the lake's surface getting farther and farther away. It felt peaceful as he sank. He is greeted by the smiling face of Sakura, his head still in her lap. Hey, welcome back, Sakura greets the teen. Did you save me? Naruto questioned the girl. Sakura wanted to immediately take all the credit, but she knew it wasn't true. No, Sasuke got you out of the lake. I just got the water out of you, Sakura replies. The two look at Sasuke, and the boy puts his hand up to wave off the thanks. Thank you, Naruto starts before he rises. He leaves a pouting Sakura on the dirt. However, he offers her his hand, both of you. Sakura basks in the thanks with pride as she takes the hand. Not a problem, kid, Tazuna interjects, ruining the mood. The two give him a flat expression. Guys, we've got company. Sasuke alerts them and gets in a ready stance. The 2 other genin follow suit. Out from the mist, 2 figures come into view. Kakashi is with a teen wearing a standard Kirigakure pinstriped outfit that stops at their knees. Over this, they wear a green haori with white trimmings and around their waist a brown sash with a fringed trail wrapped around the waist twice. They also wore light brown platoon sandals with straps in the same color as his kimono and nail polish on his fingernails and toenails in matching blue-green colors. When wearing this outfit, Haku's long hair was gathered in a white bun holder, while 2 locks of his hair fell loose, framing his face, bound with metal hair cuffs at the ends. On their face is an eerie white mask with thin, curved eye holes and a red wavy design in place of the mouth, as well as the Kirigakure symbol etched at the top. On this person's back is the limp body of Zabuza. Kakashiniai/Kakashisensei/Kakashi. Team 7 cheered as their leader made it back to them alive. Who's this guy? Naruto points at the mysterious teen. He was ready for another fight. Before Kakashi could answer, the teens spoke for themselves. I am a hunter nin from Kiri. This body needs to be disposed of. The hunter leans their face in the direction of the body. Again, thank you for the assistance. The hunter looks at them and bows. I apologize, but I must start getting rid of the body. The hunter raises a tiger seal in front of their face before disappearing in a swirl of leaves. Naruto didn't notice it at first, but he caught the scent of a rabbit from the Kiri hunter nin. Whatever. It didn't matter now, they were gone, and Zabuza was defeated. Kakashi pulls his Hitayat down as he takes the lead. Alright, everyone, let's get Tazuna-san home, Kakashi says as he takes a step forward and collapses face first to the ground. Kakashi-sensei. Sakura exclaims in shock as her leader suddenly drops. Naruto takes the initiative. He walks over to Kakashi and looks down at the man with his hands on his hips. Naruto gives the man a swift kick to the ribs. Kakashiniai. He got no response from Kakashi but a shout of protest from Sakura. Sighing, Naruto bends down and grasps the man. I'll get him. With a heft, the man is now on his back. Smiling carefree, Naruto waves Tazuna over. Okay. Lead the way, Ajizan. The bridge builder wanted to get out of the forest, so he gave little protest. He just grumbled about kids not having respect. The man led them to his home. Hide out in a hidden base not far from the outskirts of Nami no Kuni, 2 people are sitting a bedroom. 2 senbon are pulled from his flesh as Zabuza grunts. You're as vicious as ever, Haku, Zabuza growls. He didn't like the fact that he had to be so roughed up to get away. I needed to make it look genuine, Haku says as she sets the mask on a nightstand. The face of a beautiful teen smiles down at her mentor. Zabuza growls at the girl's innocent tone. Don't get smart with me, girl. His subordinate was starting to get a little too familiar for his liking. A loud heavy thud opens the door, and through it comes a tall, slender woman with fair skin. She has green eyes and ankle-length, auburn hair styled into a herringbone pattern at the back, a top knot tied with a dark blue band, and 4 bangs at the front. 2 bangs are short, with 1 covering her right eye, and 2 are long, crossing each other on her bust, just below her chin. She wears a long-sleeved, dark blue dress that falls just below the knees. It seems to be closed at the front with a zipper and is kept open on the front right side from the waist down. The dress only covers the upper part of her arms and the underside of her breasts. Underneath, she wears mesh armor that slightly covers her upper body more than her dress. She also wears a skirt the same color as her dress and mesh leggings reaching down over her knees underneath those. Around her waist, she wears a belt with a pouch attached to her back on the left. On her lower body, she wears high-heeled sandals, shin guards reaching up over her knees, dark blue nail polish on her fingers and toes, and is usually shown with purple lipstick. My. Zabuza, look at you. All beat up and worn out, and I'm not the cause, her sultry and alluring voice teases the man. Seeing his bare chest was as hot as ever for her. Don't start with me, he warns. It's all talk. He couldn't move even if he wanted to. Then like a switch was flipped, her playful tone and expression turn, you got overconfident, and that almost cost you your life. She glares at the man for a moment longer, and the man looks away in shame. Luckily, Hakuchin kept you safe, Mei goes over and combs her hand through the girl's hair. The girl stands like a statue, used to the woman's mannerisms. You should thank the girl, Mei said, her tone leaving no room for arguing. Whatever you say, Mei. While at times he couldn't stand the woman, he respected her. Hell, he doesn't want to admit it, but he loves her. She was the one he would make Mizukichi or die trying. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like, share and subscribe. This is Raven Sage signing off.